is? Huh? Anybody? Julie, hey, guess what day it is? Oh, come on, I know you can hear me. Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Woo-hoo!
Wendy Bell Radio is live.
Hey, do you guys know what today is?
Hump day!
It is hump day. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. Already making it through half of the week. Super great to be with you guys. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Good afternoon. What's everybody talking about? What's the big story anymore? I'm so confused. We've got stuff going on with Iran. I guess Trump, has he already dropped some bombs on them? What's going on with that, Brock? What did you see?
He's already hit them.
He's talking about it, but he says he's hinting that he's going to blow up some of their infrastructure, more of their infrastructure, because they ended up, what do they shoot on an Apache helicopter? And if it wasn't for the grace of God, whatever they shot into the craft would have blown up, but didn't, right? Isn't that the story? It's crazy, right? And so he's like, well, you don't get to do that. So we'll see what happens.
Here's where I wish he didn't have the accessibility that he gives. Because they're like, now what? Now what?
Yeah.
Now what?
Yeah.
Where are you going to hit? Now what?
Yeah.
And he's like, we're getting closer. And people are just like, either blow. Now you're to the point you're like, don't tell me anything until you've either have the deal or you've completely wiped them off the board.
And don't you look at Benjamin Netanyahu as being just a total warmonger? Like that's all he wants is war. I want
like
more
Democrats
war.
and Lindsey Graham
Wants more war.
in
More money for Ukraine. Come on, let's go. And everybody's like, you realize that's like COVID. Everybody knows what it is now.
I got a deal for them.
Right.
Take the money away from that you're giving to the Taliban.
How about the $400 million, what, a week, a month, whatever
40
it is?
million a week.
40 million, 160 million. No, is it million?
40 million a week.
Right? To the Taliban.
I'm okay. Give that to the.
And then John Thune is asked about it, and he's like, I'm unaware of that story. And it's like,
well, 11 months ago, the rest of us know that the House passed it through Tim Burchett.
And what are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, I have to do a promo here, okay? I want to do this. I want to weave this into the show today. I very rarely talk about Healthy Cell at the very beginning of the show. Yesterday, I took a calm mood Healthy Cell microgel. I'm not gonna reach over and okay. I took this before the end of the show on camera with you guys. I got home and there were some fireworks, some things that were going on that could have gone completely haywire. And quite frankly, in my normal state of mind, if I'm sleep deprived and or tired in any way, I don't react well always to stress. Yesterday, it was very weird. I felt like there was nothing that was going to set my fuse off, that there was nothing that was going to snowball into something I couldn't handle. And that's how my day went. It was calm. It was predictable. It was orderly, organized. And even though like pew, pew, pew was going on around me, I was like,
you were chill.
Okay. We'll figure this out. I have to say, it made me better. Made me a better person yesterday. That's my takeaway. I wasn't prepared for that. Calm mood. healthycell.com/Wendy. It's not something that makes you feel high. You're not like, ooh, what's up, dude? You're just like, chill. And sometimes you need to just decompress. This helped me.
Did it make you sleepy?
No.
No. Maybe I should start taking it.
It really.
From noon to 3.
Oh, Friday's coming.
Wow.
It was just lovely. And I think that you might very much enjoy this particular microgel. It's special. So anyway, it's great to be with you guys. Is everybody's house under construction in the city of Pittsburgh? Is every street being dug up and the detours that have detours on top of detours? They're shutting down a major bridge Real close to my house. They've been building the section of the bridge off the side of the bridge, and soon they'll have to go.
That's going to be a nightmare.
And they're going to have to drop that bridge and then slide the new part. I'm sure what could go wrong? I mean, like,
it's going to be shut down for a month.
What could go wrong? Yeah. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a summer of calm mood. Because on the way home, I'll be like, all right.
Yeah, you better find another way.
Right?
That's the Squirrel Hill tunnels.
Shut up. I know. Yes.
Gateway to
everything. Nowhere. No, gateway to everything east of the city. You bet. And that's our bread and butter out there. How you doing? I see you, Latrobe. I see you, Ligonier. Greensburg, Westmoreland County. My people. I went to the Pirates game last night. Paul Skeens was great, and then everybody crapped the bed for him. So then there's that. I have yet to see a winning game.
Well, I was watching, and when I saw the catcher throw it down to third base and hit the player, and I'm like, "What are you doing? Why would you even take that chance?"
Anywho,
who am I to criticize?
It's Hump Day, babies. Let's have fun.
Hump Day.
It is. What's the monologue going to be?
3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we are converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Hey!
Well, hello, America. Greetings to all of you across the beautiful fruited plain, and happy hump day to you from the Wendy Bell radio program. I'm Wendy. I do this every day. Brock is my trusted friend who helps me put together this program every day. And together we believe we give you a good cross-section of things people are talking about and things that they're not. And it's not rocket science. None of this is going to twist your brain and make you say, what? But it is going to feel very comfortable to you. So if you're kind of out there, a ship at sea, and you don't have a place that you trust for information, hang out with us for a while. Give me 15 minutes. And then put wendybellradio.com on your phone, download our app, and join us day after day. It is my true honor to be here with you. Welcome home. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. You know, it's one of the things that's kind of a bad side effect of awakening. Whatever it is that you haven't seen before that you awaken to and then begin to see and then look back in time and connect dots and are like, oh my gosh, where was I? The problem with awakening is you can't close your eyes and pretend anymore. And once you know, it's often hard to reconcile what's been taken from you, whether it's your money, your trust, whether it's your feelings about people in your orbit. When you realize something has been going on and you didn't know about it, it's difficult. It's easier to be blind, willfully blind, we call people who don't want to pay attention. And I understand that. But we are in a phenomenal phase of awakening. And with that is going to come the feeling of, oh my gosh, why have we been lied to for so long? Oh my gosh, who are the people who've been concealing all of this information that we rightfully deserve to know. Why? For how long? It's tough. I think that's why a lot of people don't want to admit when they begin to have odd side effects, odd ailments popping up after they've been vaccinated with that jab. I think a lot of people will make excuses for why it's this or that. Oh, no, that's not blah, blah, blah. It's such and such. And you're like, or you should think critically and figure out maybe you're injured. A lot of people don't want to walk over that cliff. We do that on this program, and it's important. Do you know the sociology metaphor of the ants in the jar, right? And it goes something like this. It's been talked about for years and years and years. If you take a jar and you take two different kinds of ants, black ants and red ants, and you put them in the jar and you put a thing on the top and you let them be, they get along. Nothing happens. But if you take that jar and you begin to shake it vigorously and then you put it down, the ants start attacking each other. The red ants think the black ants are the enemy. The black ants think the red ants are the enemy, when in fact the real enemy is the person who shook the jar. This is where we are in our society right now on so many different levels. Black versus white, Christian or Catholic versus Jewish or Muslim, tall, short, whatever your politics are, Republican, Democrat. We're all bickering with one another rather than realizing that we're just the ants in the jar. And whenever there's something that needs to be smoke screened or covered up, this giant hand comes down and starts shaking our jar. You know, I've been following peripherally this case of Carmelo Anthony, the 17-year-old boy who stabbed in the chest another 17-year-old boy in Texas, Austin Metcalf. There's nothing about this case, about this dreadful story. There's no ending in which anybody wins. It's ants in a jar being shaken. Carmelo is black. Austin Metcalf was white. And in the defense's case, they wanted to say, but our client, the alleged murderer here, he's a good boy. He's got a great grade point average. He's a leader. He has the potential to be the captain on the such and such team. That's our client. Yeah, I mean, he stabbed Austin Metcalf in the chest with a knife and killed a 17-year-old who did not provoke him. 20-odd witnesses testified. But in this world, it's not about right or wrong anymore. It is about excuses. Should a white person be treated in the eyes of the law any differently than a black person? No. But this is that slippery slope that you and I have been sliding down, where we make excuses for tragic decisions instead of saying you made a decision that day and the decision was in cold blood. And there is a penalty to pay. And that is irrespective of your race. Please don't insult us by using that as part of your defense. I can't imagine being Hunter Metcalf, Austin's twin, who had his brother in his arms, his twin brother in his arms when he died. There's no healing for the Metcalf family any more than the Anthony family is going to heal after this. But actions have consequences. And in the eyes of the law, we must be treated the same. And a jury came back with that verdict and a 35-year sentence for Carmelo Anthony. I'd love to sit here and say that that was something we should celebrate because the Anthonys lost their son, perhaps in a different way than the Metcalfs. But in the crosshairs of all of this are teenagers who were there at the track meet that day, who had to testify, who have to worry about retribution and people coming after them. And we're told it was a racial crime. No. It was right and wrong. Right versus wrong. And one boy did wrong. And in the eyes of the law, you have to pay a price for that. All Americans want, and if I might be so bold as to perhaps speak for some of you, we're very basic people. We want to live in a land where we can do as we wish, pitch in for things that must be shared, things that we all have to share to pay taxes for, but we want to be treated fairly. We want to be treated equally. We want to live in safe cities. We want to be able to have children who can live and grow and dream and exceed our wildest expectations. And we want to live in a country whose leaders we believe in. But what we have is a Congress that I believe shakes that jar. And you and I end up warring with each other, fighting over nuance, desperate to prove our point, to make our case, to win it in court. And we're actually achieving nothing because the true culprit is the puppeteer making all of the marionettes dance. We're going to get into some of those subjects today, ladies and gentlemen. The last half hour, I invite you to stay for, please, because you need to know what happened on the steps of the United States Capitol, the People's House yesterday, and what it has to do with a lie that the world has been told for the better part of 80 years. That and so much more, my friends. Coming up, but I want to say this, we all know there's no evidence of fraud at scale in California, right? But just in case there is, there's a guy out there who has $1 million for you if you have proof of fraud. Really interesting. Tell you about it next on the Wendy Bell radio program. I love when my Irish naturalized friend Kieran calls me during the show. I'm like, I'm a little busy, can't take your call right now. Sorry. Like, what? Oh, I love it. Okay. I need to tell you about Chef IQ. And by the way, it's healthycell.com/Wendy. I think I talked about it for 2 minutes and never gave you the address to go to. Healthycell.com/Wendy. You're going to get 20% off all of these beautiful supplements that are magnificent at Healthy Cell. I want to tell you, however, who did I just say? Oh, go spend. No, Chef IQ. Yep. I want to talk about Chef IQ. I've got a whole docket today, and some of these deals are really phenomenal. 40% off site-wide. Chef IQ, this is the company that makes that Chef IQ Sense. These are the meat probes that you put in whatever you're making, even fish, pork, chicken, steak. Doesn't matter where you're cooking it, how you're cooking it, how long you want. It manages all of it for you, takes the guesswork out of it. And so you never ruin a very beautiful and expensive piece of meat. Period. You always know it's going to be perfect. And there's a lot of peace of mind that comes with that, right? What a great Father's Day gift. 40% off site-wide. Okay? ChefIQ.com. Use my name, Wendy, to lock in that discount. I'm going to go to it right now. I'm going to pull up the site because I want to tell you about some of the things that they have. This isn't just the IQ Sense here. Chef, no, that's not right. Their products, I will say, are predictably phenomenal. There are so many things that you can choose. So I'm going to say shop. And I'm just going to hit a couple of them. So the IQ Sense, this is also the Chef IQ mini oven. Brock knows all about that. Oh. They have a Chef IQ cooker. So like a slow cooker, oh, it looks beautiful. They have so many different products for you to choose from, and they are 40% off. So if you've ever been wondering, oh, I'd love to do it, but it might sound a little expensive. ChefIQ.com, promo code Wendy. They're fantastic. I do love the Chef IQ scents, though. Look at that. Smart cooker, steam basket. I got to get a pizza oven. Brock got that planted in my brain. Son of a mother. Right? I know. That's what I'm thinking about. How are you guys? Happy hump day. Ants in a jar, baby. That's what we are. 1.06 rumbles. Thank you for showing up and for clicking that thumbs up button. I appreciate you guys. And Brock appreciated the sweatshirt because he was freezing yesterday.
It was cold in here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, I don't know. I have to play Adam Carolla too. I'm sorry, I went a little long there. This is the greatest metaphor for what's going on in California, right?
I like metaphors, and
you do. You're into those. And this is a good one. And he shares it with my boyfriend, Chris Cuomo. What a turd. I think Adam Carolla, comedian and podcast host Adam Carolla, who lives in LA, he's a lifer in LA. He was on News Nation last night. He had a great metaphor for this whole
that have come before them are a product that we're aware of. They're a losing quarterback. They're somebody who's been in the league and they've won 3 games and they've lost 19 games. And Spencer Pratt is a guy who played junior college and he never was in a major program. And he's a total unknown. And I'm the coach. And basically my head on it is this guy's an unknown, but these guys are 2-19. So I'll roll the dice on the unknown. And that's basically my metaphor for this. I wouldn't guarantee he'd win us the game, but I do know the winning percentage of those who came before him, and it's not good.
Isn't that a great way of looking at it? I think that makes so much sense. And I think anybody who's lived in a city with struggling sports would be like, you get to a point where you throw the Hail Mary and you're like, I'll take anybody. We'll try anybody. I mean, that's what gave birth to President Trump. Well, this is interesting as the narrative thus far this week, after it's come out shockingly that this late ballot dump of all of these mail-in votes, these progressives who just could not wait to cast their ballot for the no-name socialist woman, Nithya Raman. We're getting all this information. And by the way, that there's no fraud at scale, they want us to believe. There's no evidence of widespread malfeasance that would call this race into question whatsoever, that squeezed out Spencer Pratt. Your common sense, which is God-given and inherent in each of us, is tingling a lot, right? There's a guy out there you might know, Brock Pierce. He was a star from the Mighty Ducks. New York Post has an interesting story about him. He offers $1 million cash, 7 figures right now, count it for you, for evidence of California election fraud. Really? The former childhood actor turned crypto mogul is offering $1 million reward for any credible, verifiable evidence of election fraud, as claims of interference continue to grow in the wake of the Los Angeles mayoral election. The former Mighty Ducks actor launched the Cure the Vote initiative on Monday. in an effort to boost transparency and accountability around the mayoral race that has gained national attention and scrutiny over vote counting. It's no different than Elon Musk right before the 2024 election, right? Coming out and saying, hey, you show up at this town hall or whatever it is, I've got two, $1 million checks I'm going to give to people. Oh, he's luring people. They're bribing people to show up. Yeah, but he's not on Skid Row taking the drug-addled and many people who are mentally unwell and giving them scraps, a couple bucks, so they would sign a fake petition or some kind of voter registration or ballot to vote for Nithya Raman or Karen Bass. Why is it that these operations never benefit Republicans? Like, what? Where's that? I don't remember anybody being like, look, I've got $10 for you, buddy, if you write down this guy. That doesn't happen. Why doesn't it happen? You know, this might be me being biased, and I was wrestling. Brock can attest to this. I was wrestling with this yesterday. What if you woke up and you realized that everything that you thought had been the case up until that point was, in fact, completely opposite? That the things that you had gone out and fought for were, in fact, quite 180 degrees otherwise. And you had to look in the mirror and say to yourself, oh, my goodness gracious, I've been so wrong. Would you be able to do that? I wonder that about myself because I'm biased. I tell you that every day. I'm conservative. I have Republican values. I believe in life. I believe in liberty. I believe in you. But what if $1 million to flush out somebody? There's so many people, ladies and gentlemen, in 2020 who tried to come forward, who had signed affidavits that they had to go to a notary to certify, alleging under penalty of perjury that they had witnessed something that they just wanted somebody to listen to. Please pay attention to me. That's what attracted so many people to the Capitol on January 6th. They weren't overthrowing anything. They were desperate for the program to work the way the founding fathers intended. Don't certify. You must hear us first. And instead of being heard, they were trapped. I believe it's all coming out. And I believe, to answer that question, what if you learned everything that you thought was true? Everything you fought against and everything you rallied for was the exact opposite of reality. Would you be able to admit it? All we want is the truth. And that seems to be a very difficult thing for most people in Washington, D.C. to deliver. And that's got to stop. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, you know, California really, really wants us to stop paying attention to them, right? They're like, no, everything's good here. And here comes the hand to shake up the jar of ants, right? But you got to hear some very poignant, common sense words from Bill O'Reilly. Scott Jennings next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
See, I think if you're willing to, if you crave the truth, then the truth is the truth. Therefore, it cannot shake what you believe. Like, it's the truth. There's no.
But how do you get it? From whom? Remember when we used to just go Google stuff?
Yeah, but see.
And then now you know that everything that pops up in your search is biased.
I think everybody can get through it. You know, think of when you're little and things that aren't. I don't know if Harley's listening. So
no, we're not going to talk. Who knows?
But like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I want to know all about Santa Claus.
Changing.
I love him.
Yeah, that's a life-changing thing.
It is.
So, but you get through it as long as you know the truth.
I agree.
You get through it. Like. I didn't do anything.
Oh my gosh. So tulipblooms.shop/Wendy. Men like watching my sons take care of their skin or their hair or their teeth. They're relatively particular about these things, much more so than I remember boys ever being when I was young, right? If you think there's a boy or a man in your life who doesn't want the same soft, beautiful skin that you have, you're kidding yourself. And there's a great opportunity for you now with 10% off with my name, Wendy, at tulipblooms.shop. I want you to go /Wendy. I want you to go and check out some of the beautiful products at this company. It's so hard to describe what it feels like when dry skin finally that's been starving for moisture gets it. This castor blend is, I rub this all over my chest, all over my stomach and my back every morning. And there's just something about feeling like you're taking good care of your skin that starts your day off right. It's like making your bed when you start the day. It matters. They also have this bedside blend. They have body butters, which are phenomenal. Phenomenal. And they last. They have the little scooper guy. They last and last and last and last and last. 10% off. The satin balm, you want the most luxurious hands or skin. Holy moly. And then there's this Tulip Soothe. This is when you ache. You take a little scoop of that, rub it on your ache, and then tell me how quickly you forget about it. Tulip Blooms. I love this company.
The ache. I didn't know about the tulip bloom ache.
Soothe. Tulip Soothe.
Soothe.
That's what it's called.
Aches.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. This is tulipblooms.shop /Wendy. Get 10% off. And just everything is right. Everything is right. It's not fragranced. It's not offensive. If it's greasy upon application, it absorbs into your skin in a matter of moments. It's a very special line of products. And I dare say dads everywhere, men everywhere like them too. All right. Brock's got a big weekend coming up, guys. He does. He's doing some backyard construction. We're going to fill you in on that because it's important that you know.
What?
Why
is it important that they know?
I want to tell you quickly about Ghost Bed. I'm going to tell you one of the things that I love about sleeping on my hybrid Ghost Bed mattress. First of all, it's not a break the bank expense. This isn't some cheap fly-by-night company made in America. The gentleman behind it and his entire family. This is a sweet family you get behind. He hurt. He had problems with his neck and his back. And so he invented this mattress line. And it's now expanded into like pet mattresses and mattresses for RVs and what have you. And they're fantastic. It's the cooling that you love no matter what the time of year. And if you're supposedly supposed to be done with menopause, but you're just still flirting with it and your body's like roast, roast, roast. It's beautiful to sleep on a cooling Ghost Bed mattress. Try it all summer long, 101 nights. You get to sleep on it for 101 nights and make up your mind. Yes, I love it. And you're going to love it. Ghostbed.com /Wendy. Get 10% off. They even have like that, what is it? White glove service where they'll come and they'll set it up for you. Stop. It's so great. You're going to love it. And it just, to not sweat and constantly need to flip around in your bed because it pulls your heat away from you and you don't sit and bake in it all night long. I love it. Ghostbed.com /Wendy. How you doing? I have a hard time with this straw. I squirt it all over the place. I don't know what my problem is. It sounds like a me problem.
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Ants in a jar. You guys all know about that. You guys all understand that. Just made so much sense to me today for some reason. Bill O'Reilly made a lot of sense to me this morning, too. I was like, yeah. What you said. So Brock's putting the finishing. You know how my backyard is under construction right now. He's been working with his brother Tom and his sister-in-law Jolene. And he
who don't have a ghost bed.
Who built a new deck. They built a new deck. They built a new fence together. And now it's the real final touch.
Wait, the gazebo took 13 hours.
Yeah, that is wild.
That's
wild. Can you imagine an idiot with instructions like me trying to figure that out? No. That's why I'm
Wait,
like,
this idiot
you'll set
Meredith
it up?
can figure it
Yes. Yes. I'll pay $250 for you to set it up. Thank you.
Yeah, I would know.
And I said to Brock, I'm like, I love that song. That would be an awesome bumpers. Ask and you shall receive, ladies and gentlemen. That's the teamwork here on the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, it's interesting. And I said, I feel, I know I'm biased. I know I look at how Republicans manage situations, how we manage. For instance, yesterday, we played the U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley in California. He was getting absolutely myrtleized by Chris Cuomo, who was a very off-putting face on television who was attacking this U.S. attorney for investigating fraud in California. And Bill Asaley was like, well, I can't really tell you how widespread fraud is. We're investigating. But we've got to let people know what's going on so there's trust and faith in the system. I look at Republicans through that lens of being more calm, more steady. They're not on the attack. I see the Democrats through a different lens. They're more reckless. They're more insistent. They're nasty. Is that a fair assessment? Am I biased? I don't know if it's a fair assessment. And yes, I am biased. But that's how I see things. This is exemplified in what you're going to hear in Bill O'Reilly in just a minute. The left is insistent that there's no evidence of fraud. And then it grew to no evidence of fraud at scale. Widespread fraud in California, let's just say specifically, that would alter the outcome of this LA mayoral race. Those of us with inquiring minds, those of us with common sense, those of us who find it very odd that never before in American electoral history has somebody moved from third place to second place in a vote tally that could stretch on for weeks. We feel it is our common sense right to be like, what you talking about, Willis? Doesn't make me feel comfy inside. But the left is adamant about this no evidence. And so Bill O'Reilly does something I believe that's quite expert. He takes their need to browbeat us into saying, well, we don't know how deep the evidence is, to sound very reasonable and common sense in the whole light of this Democrat insistence that this is just the way California does things. And yes, it takes long, but there's so many people there and they just want to make sure they get it right. And you and I are like, come on, we're not stupid. Here's Bill O'Reilly.
When it broke that Pratt was going to lose to this socialist who admits she's a socialist, okay, the networks immediately put up on the screen, ABC and CNN, I didn't watch the other two, Trump baselessly criticizes the vote, baselessly. Well, how would they know? How would CNN and ABC News know? They didn't investigate it. They didn't look into it. All they did was report what the California authorities are reporting, that there was an amazing amount of support for this woman in the last 2 days, and nobody can really figure out why. So if I'm a loyal American citizen, I'd like to get to the bottom of that. Why? Why was this surge for this woman? Why wasn't it for Karen Bass, the other mayoral candidate? Why her? Because they wanted to knock Pratt out. I have no evidence to back up that there was fraud in this election. None. Okay? But it's suspicious. And every thinking person knows that it's suspicious. And they also know that California, as you rightly pointed out, has the most lax voting procedures in the United States by far. A dog can vote, and they found out the dog voted multiple times.
And that's absolutely right. You remember this story. I'm reading this from the Seattle Times, but a California woman registered her dog to vote and cast ballots in its name multiple times. And she might have gotten away with it too if she hadn't posted it on social media. The point wasn't to register her dog to vote and get away with a crime. The vote was to, or the play was to expose how ridiculous the system is, how easy it is to break into it, and to debunk those people who are like, this is the safest, most secure thing ever. See how we're the black ants and the red ants. See, the Democrats, let's call them the black ants here, right? They want to say baseless claims. There's no real, they haven't investigated any more than people on my side of political thought, conservative Republicans, can say that we know for certain that there was fraud that stole the second runoff spot from Spencer Pratt, right? And so instead of going beyond that and getting outside of the jar, we're fighting with each other over this, and yet still the system sucks. So what's the desired end? Where do we go from there? Bill O'Reilly, very careful to dance around that. I have no evidence of fraud, but I do have my God-given gift of common sense, and it tells me this is super suspicious, right? Scott, I want you to hear the CNN reporter. Her name is Jamie Gangle, and she says, this is the new line, right? Well, I mean, California's got a weird system, but there are just so dang many people, and it takes time to make sure it's super perfect. Do you believe that? Listen.
And there is no evidence here. I do think it's important for those of us on Earth One to remember California has the largest population. These are millions of voters. They do a lot of mail-in ballot. By the way, today, if your ballot arrives in California, it will still be counted on June 9th, as long as it was postmarked. But to go back to what Mo said, you know, slow does not mean fraud. Slow does not mean rigged. The only time President Trump starts throwing this around is when he's not winning.
See, she's not in any position to say that any more than I'm in a position to say that there was absolutely fraud. See, so we're both doing the same thing on different sides. We're the ants in the jar. Scott Jennings, he's like, look, I don't have evidence of California fraud. Again, this is how the Republicans, in my lens, manage what the Democrats are so insistent of. Immediately, too, to dismantle their allegations and make them look silly. He's like, I don't have evidence right here before you, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. That doesn't mean we ought not investigate. That doesn't mean we should take the left's word for it. Right? Any more than we should say on the left that anytime President Trump has an allegation, it's baseless. That shouldn't be reflexively your response. Why can't we investigate? Here's Scott Jennings. It's great. Listen.
When you take this long to count the ballots, of course people are going to have questions about it. Plus, the whole system out there, I mean, there's a reason that ballot harvesting, for instance, is illegal in a great many states. You've got millions of ballots that are mailed out to people who didn't ask for them. You have no voter ID. You have these ballot harvesters showing up. You know, you don't know them. They show up at your house, helping people fill out their ballots and turning them in. I mean, I don't know of any evidence that the election is rigged.
Control of elections.
I understand,
and
I'm
states get to
criticizing.
Decide if everybody gets a ballot.
Does that make it okay, or would you impose this on everybody else?
I'm just saying states get to decide, which has been the Republican position for many years.
Yeah, and I'm telling you that California ought to decide to do something different, because what's happening in that election right now is causing people to question the outcome. Again, I'm not seeing any evidence of fraud, but what I have seen evidence of is a system that if you wanted to commit some fraud, this is exactly what you would do. Put millions of ballots on the streets, no voter ID, ballot harvesting. This system is designed to cause people to have questions about it. Again, that's different than saying I have evidence of fraud, but you can see why people would have a question.
And you can see why there's so much distrust in the system. Remember, I mean, I think this is rich. The Democrats clutching their pearls right now over the president or anybody saying, you know what, we ought to investigate this stuff. It just smells fishy. This is the party that ran an unpopular candidate in Joe Biden and limited his presidential campaigning to remote events and interviews from his home in Wilmington, Delaware in 2020, while President Trump was holding 30,000 person rallies all across the heartland. This is the party that told us Biden rose from roadkill status in early February voting of 2020 to effectively claim the nomination by the end of March after a disastrous run for president in 2008 when he dropped out after he finished fifth in the Iowa caucuses. But this is the guy they want us to believe 81 million people were hot and heavy to come out and vote for during a global pandemic. And they want you to shush when that God-given sense of yours starts bubbling. And then somehow 11 years later, right? After his political star basically crashed and burned, we're told Joe Biden beat Barack Obama, the first Black president in American history, and everybody voted. I mean, come on. I'm sorry. I know I ought not be laughing, but it's so stupid. And I'm really tired of it. I'm really tired of the fake news browbeating mantra on the left. Because we're not stupid. And we're so tired of being treated that way. We're so tired of the dumb stories that they force you to believe, because if you don't, by golly, they're going to come after you. And before Elon Musk, bless his soul, bought Twitter and walked in that day carrying a giant sink, basically saying we're cleaning up all of the filth and we're throwing it out with the kitchen sink. They manipulated what you were allowed to say, what you were allowed to see. And members of the Biden administration were working in concert with the people at Twitter, Jack Dorsey's goofballs, to control the story of America. Oh my gosh, what we have been through. Oh my gosh. And this whole LA thing, it ain't going away. They want it to go away, right? After, where's the evidence? And there's no fraud at scale. As those narratives kind of peter out, as the left's talking points to brush off America's suspicions over LA election fraud, there's a new narrative today. You ready to hear all about it? Because GMA and CNN pushed it almost verbatim next. All right.
That CNN clip in the next thing is the clip we already played.
Okay, that's all right.
Realized that.
That's okay. We can play it again.
Okay.
We'll play it by ear. We'll see what happens. WendyLovesGold.com. WendyLovesGold.com. I remember being a little suspicious when these gold, precious metals firms popped up all over the place. If you were online, there was a new ad whoosh that came across your screen. And it all kind of made me feel like it was a scam. Like, is buying gold and silver a ripoff? Like, what's the deal? Why are there so many of these like fly-by-night outfits? And then Texas Bullion Exchange got in touch with me, and I was like, And I'm like, well, I need to talk to you guys and see what this is all about. They spent like an hour on the phone with me. And they're like, let me send you some materials. Let me tell you we're going to tell you what's going on and how this works. And they did. And I went over their materials and I spoke with them on the phone multiple times. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to tell you to buy gold and silver if I'm not going to buy gold and silver. So I will tell you, I bought gold and silver from WendyLovesGold.com. So I can tell you how it shows up, what the process is like, how easy it is. Is it fun to have? It is. It is fun to have. You can have it in your hot little hands, like this beautiful silver coin with my picture and autograph on it, or you can have a gold-backed IRA that doesn't involve the movement of necessarily green money for gold, silver in your hands, but you can add it into your portfolio. Both processes are ridiculously easy. They back up what they say. They'll give you a 6% bonus in free silver if you get one of these protected IRAs, gold-backed IRAs. It's easy. 855-927-5557. I trust them. 855-927-5557. And if I didn't, I sure as heck wouldn't tell you to. Right? Right. WendyLovesGold.com. I haven't checked the prices lately. Fallen off the wagon, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, if India has 1.5 billion people and they can process elections in 24 hours, right? Do you think California could too? Of course. What did you just put up there? Oh, I thought you flipped something up there. Oh, 9. Are you done? What'd you think of the watermelon mint?
I liked it.
Did you? It's not as.
I think I'm gonna go make another one.
Are you?
Yeah. It was refreshing.
This is Roundhouse Provisions. They're coming back, so we got to figure out the details of the deal for
Let's
you.
start call Roundhouse. This is Chuck Juice.
It is Chuck Juice. I feel greasy today. Do I look greasy to you guys? I hope not. I feel it. I'm hot and bothered, but
Greasy.
I'm trying to keep it together. I learned that you don't want to put on eye drops on a plane because the pressure makes it go, and so it like blew up in my eye, just big of liquid all over my face. I'm like, okay.
Maybe you just missed.
No.
Oh.
Wow. Thanks.
Well,
because
maybe there was turbulence.
Because after 20 years of using them, ever since I had eye surgery, I've needed. Do I look fabulous? Thank you. Okay. We probably won't play the CNN News Babe again. Dang it. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. Remember to download our podcast. Hope you do. 8.1 million people have Wendy Bell radio wherever you get your favorite listening material. So after where's the evidence? What kind of evidence? Do you have any? There's no evidence. It's so frustrating that these are the stories that we have to talk about when there's actual stuff going on in our lives here in Realville that's completely connected to this congressional and media suck bubble of disconnect. Like, do they not realize? I filled up yesterday. It cost me $71. $71 for gas. There are 7 drivers in my family. Do you want to know what my gas bill is? It's ridiculous. Can we fix the problems that we have in this country? Can we work together ever? Can the ants in the jar resist the hand that is shaking them? And can we go after the person whose hand that is, whomever the deep state dark puppeteer is, so we can start living productive lives again? Well, the new narrative, California takes so damn long to do things because they're extra careful to get it right. It takes everything. Don't worry about the 1.47 billion people in India. Let's just say 1 billion of them vote. They get results in a day. So what's California's excuse? Well, if you live in Realville, you're like, you know what? It's because they got to figure out how many votes they need to cheat by, which is why everything shut down in 2020. Oh, no, it's a water main break. Oh, no, we're tired. Oh, no, let's just finish it tomorrow. It's a global pandemic. I'm just so bushed. Really? Come on, man. Well, Good Morning America likes to try out the new line. They test it first on their audience. Listen in.
Now, we know there's been a lot of questions on why it's taking California so long to count the votes. Well, 80% of voters here vote by mail, and ballots postmarked by Election Day can arrive as late as today and still be counted. Plus, election workers are cross-checking the signatures on all of those mail-in ballots. It is not a very fast process, but it is meant to prevent voter fraud. And as this count continues, the primary for governor is also still too close to call, but former Biden Health and Human Services Secretary Javier Becerra and former Fox News host Steve Hilton have the inside track to make the runoff.
Like, does that reporter guy think critically? Does he really believe that? Or is he just reading whatever's rolling up on the teleprompter? Because if there's an iota of critical thinking there, one would be like, that's just the dumbest excuse I've heard. Why does it take so long? Why is the process so broken? Why have they allowed so many ways for suspicions to arise? And why is it illegal in the state of California to require someone to show you proof of identity? Does that mean, like, critically thinking, don't you say, that just doesn't make sense unless y'all are cheating? Of course. Then there's Van Jones over at CNN as he tries to merchandise that storyline that was in existence for like 4 seconds yesterday, that there's an LA Times poll showing, no. People really love Nithya Raman. They really didn't like Spencer Pratt. And so Karen Bass would have preferred running against Spencer Pratt, not Nithya Raman, you silly gooses. Oh, let's see if he sells it better than the other folks did yesterday. Here's Van Jones.
Here's how you know it wasn't rigged. Spencer Pratt didn't win, because if it were rigged, the Democrats would love for Karen Bass to go up against Spencer Pratt, because she would beat him to death. It would be a romp. It would be destruction. Now Karen Bass has a problem. She's got a young progressive running to her left, coming on like Mom Donnie did here in New York. If Democrats were going to rig an election, we would definitely not put this young hotshot progressive up against our mayor. The proof that it's not rigged is that Spencer Pratt is out.
That is Van Jones. That is his argument. Does that infuriate anybody else out there? Van, it's so disappointing to see how eager so many people in quote unquote the media are to carry the water, the talking points for the Democratic Party. I look at you, Van, and I'll look at you all day long because I think you are beautiful. I'm just going to say, but my Lord, are you off-putting? You are just as distasteful to me as Chris Cuomo, because none of you is objective. None of you tells both sides of the story. None of you tells the truth. And that is why now there is among Republicans 8% trust, faith that the media consistently tell us the truth, because they don't. And how do you fix that? You know what's never said is that this is what President Trump does. We don't hear that he stole elections. We don't hear that he cheated. Not anymore, we don't. Why is it always the left? Why are they supporting all the wrong people? Democrat support for Graham Plattner shows not only that liberals don't believe all women, as they told us, they use women the same way they use black voters and trans kids to create victims they could then run in and save. The story in hour 2 of the Wendy Bell Radio Network. So my friend Alan sent me a note. He said, Wendy, I've been using Blood Flow 7 for a few months. It has helped tremendously. Or this is from Linda, excuse me. It has helped tremendously with my migraines. I've gone from 6 to 7 migraines a week. That's called, you have a permanent disability. 6 to 7 migraines a week. That would knock me out of society. To 1 to 2 and 5 to 6 months. This is the best relief I've had in 47 years of migraines. That is so important. So when I was a little younger, there were several years where I was out. I lost weeks of my life out with headaches. And I remember I went to a headache clinic. And remember Lisa Kudrow from Friends? Her father is a headache specialist in LA. And my parents took me to him because I was bad. His name is Lee, Dr. Lee Kudrow. And one of the things they do is they take an infrared scan of your head as you're having one of these headaches. And I was having one when I was there. They kind of induce you, which is terrible. And it shows this disproportionate, lopsided distribution of blood in your brain, right? And I could see why Linda sang Blood Flow 7, opening up those blood vessels and getting more blood to go all over would be so beneficial. This is one of those hidden benefits of nitric oxide, which is the molecule that relaxes your blood vessels and allows the blood to go through more smoothly. Imagine how this would benefit you cardiovascularly. Think about that. And it's less than $1 a day. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. Bloodflow7.com/Wendy. I benefit from this in many other ways. I notice it with endurance, not petering out, not hitting the wall, not pooping out at 3 p.m. like I used to, but barreling through and exercising way more strongly than I ever did before at 56. So I'm super excited about this. Oh, Kelly Morgan sent me, my printer at home went, I lost today. I don't have one of the color cartridges. It sucks. And now I've got to try to find one. And I think they stopped making them because that makes sense. But Kelly Morgan sent us the greatest picture, and it will speak volumes, I think, to so many people. Let's see. Kelly, here we go. This is amazing. So I'm going to hold this up and we'll see. Let me see if you can follow this. Obviously, before and after 90 days of Kelly Morgan and working out from home or in the gym. 90-day Ignite. When you go to morgainsfitness.com, MORGAINZ, fitness.com, you'll see the button 90 Ignite. 3 months, literally. She did this to this woman. Well, this woman did it, but hold on, let it focus. Look at that. That's crazy, right? And Kelly's having a merch sale through the 12th?
21st.
The 21st. I'm dyslexic. I'm sorry. I'm really not. But the 21st. And her clothes, if you like workout clothes or you have a hard time finding tops that fit right, it's great. They kind of flare out so they're not snug on your gut. Thank you, Kelly. Kelly Morgan, More Gains Fitness 90 Ignite. Learn about it. Check it out. It doesn't matter where you live. You can do it online. This is the program. 90 days. You will find your body again. Pretty cool. Super duper cool. So Brock's going to be putting in some sand, some rocks, leveling out your backyard, and then putting in some kind of like an AstroTurf product, an artificial grass. So his pit bull Sinatra, who is allergic to grass and has terrible skin problems, can be outside and enjoy the summer with Brock and Kate without getting affected, which I think is great. So he's got a huge project this weekend, and guess who's helping? Somehow I got roped into that. I'm just saying, whatever, you know.
Whoa. Did you not say, I hope you don't have anything going on this weekend?
Joe's on call. The kids are packing for their summer jobs and they leave on their
I hope to
birthday.
get it all done Saturday.
Oh, you're making it sound like I have to come back. Okay. Wow.
I'm gonna do a lot of it.
Why would you wait until 10? You're not doing the pet show?
No pet show this weekend. Mike is off.
Okay, no pet show. We might do weekends with Wendy. We'll have to see. I'd be inclined to because it's been a while. I've missed you guys. But he's like, we don't have to start until 10. I'm like, why wouldn't we start at like 7?
I was trying to be nice.
Or 7:30 or what
have you. I'll be at breakfast.
Okay, well, after you and Disinfect with Sniper Guy come back from breakfast, he and his girlfriend have dinner or breakfast every Saturday.
And didn't I invite you?
You did. And I was like, wow, you want to spend even more time together.
Well, no, I figured you could pick me up, drive
and
me
then pay
there.
the bill. Yeah. I know how this goes.
It's almost pay the bill.
You guys don't, I mean, honestly, try this. Calm mood. Try this. Brock, you have to try this. You have to try this. You
Saturday at 8.
You really do. Well, you're not one of those people who has a project and you bark orders and get frustrated.
No.
Some people do.
I mean,
do that.
it's just going to be a lot of manual shoveling and moving rock and sand. And
I can scoop.
well, no, I'm going to need you to rake.
Okay. Whatever you need. Happy for you that you're getting it done. Isn't it so weird, these people that Democrats are getting behind? They're blowing up so many of the platforms that Democrats allege they were all about. Believe all women. Unless she alleges that Graham Plattner roughed her up. And then it's like, who? I don't know who she is. Let's vote for him. So bizarre. So bizarre. Please make it make sense. And they want to shame us over President Trump, right? Oh, that works. One of these things is not like the other. But that might be my bias.
Yeah, locker room talk so much worse than actual physical.
Yeah, grab her by the and
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell. Inspiring solutions to save America, one show at a time. Are you ready to get on board?
They believe that they can destroy this bond that exists between you and Trump if they somehow make Trump look bad, make Trump look like a reprobate, embarrass you about Trump. They can't do it because you came before Trump. Desperately want Trump gone, and I know that they desperately want it codified, that Trump cannot run again, because make no mistake, they remain scared to death of you, and they remain scared to death of Trump. Trump, 75 million, 80 million votes. And I'm going to tell you, you're not going anywhere. Even if Trump does, you're not. Which I think remains one of our big campaign strengths going forward. They can't separate you from Trump. And more importantly, they can't separate you from the ideas. They can't separate you from MAGA. They can't separate you from Make America Great Again.
From sea to shining sea, 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. The Wendy Bell Radio Program.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell Radio Program is live. You know, it's interesting that some of these candidates, like Graham Plattner, this guy, highly controversial guy that I think when you read about him is probably nowhere near anything we want to be in the Senate, making decisions for this country. The more you pay attention to this guy's candidacy and his kind of rise to fame, it's so interesting to watch yet more narratives that the Democrat Party has pushed and tried to hold to our heads with a gun. How these are all crumbling. Believe all women. Remember when they tried to destroy Brett Kavanaugh? The same way they tried to destroy Clarence Thomas. They just cranked up the disgustingness of it a bit. They told us that Christine Blasey Ford, she remembers that Brett Kavanaugh did something to her. I mean, she doesn't, where? I don't know. When? I was kind of fuzzy on that. How? And who was around? Well, I don't know. It's been so long, but I know what happened. And we were supposed to be like, okay, that's disqualifying. Really? Maine Senate candidate Graham Plattner's ex-political director argued that her former boss shouldn't be a U.S. senator, revealing that she quit her job after becoming, quote, disturbed by what she had learned about him and claiming that she was offered hush money in a new bombshell expose. Oh, by the way, Democrats pushed Graham Plattner over the line yesterday in Maine. So he will be the Democrat candidate running against Susan Collins. It's beyond. Genevieve McDonald, a former Maine state representative, who said she joined Plattner's campaign because she believed he genuinely wanted to fight for the working class, released a damning op-ed in the Washington Post Monday night, a day before the state's Democrat primary. She said, "I know firsthand why Graham Plattner shouldn't be a U.S. senator." What followed was a recap of the embattled candidate's scandals, including accusations of abusive behavior towards women he's dated, donning a Nazi tattoo for 18 years, sexting several women while married, and a host of other stuff. Isn't it interesting they have to fake stuff, allegations about Donald Trump? But when there are demonstrable, corroboratable examples of suck from their people, they're like, yeah, well, anyway, it was a phase. Interesting. While Plattner has received defense from Senators Bernie Sanders, Tim Kaine, Chris Murphy, other Democrats, including John Fetterman and Madeleine Dean, have denounced him. "I quit the campaign in October," this former campaign advisor to Graham Plattner said, disturbed by what I had learned about the candidate and concerned about his potential impact on the Democrat Party's prospects in my home state. McDonald wrote, "As Tuesday's primary arrives, I want to make clear what transpired since August and why my concerns have only grown. Graham Plattner is not someone who would be good for Maine or for the country." According to Plattner's former political director, he, quote, "exhibits a pattern of dishonest behavior that is impossible to ignore." Democrats don't mind it. They're ignoring it. As long as they can get Trump. That's all that matters. Despite being exposed by a series of scandals beginning last October, he kept assuring voters in the Democrat Party that there were no more skeletons in his closet, McDonald stated. And then more emerged. The latest in recent days have involved former girlfriends, serious accusations of physical mistreatment. Really? In what world? Where are all the vagina hat gals? Where are they? The New York Times published allegations by 3 women against Plattner last week, including conservative Politico Lindsay Fifield, who dated the Mainer from 2013 to 2015. Fifield told the outlet that Plattner could be rough with her, but stated that he never hit her, despite alleging that he regularly grabbed her by the shoulder, sometimes hard enough to leave marks. The woman who once worked for former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley's 2024 presidential campaign and the conservative think tank Heritage Foundation also alleged that Plattner twisted her arm behind her back, shoved her into a bedroom, and held the door closed from the other side so she could not get out. Do you think that's somebody that the Democrats would get behind? Yes, of course they would, because it's all about getting Trump. Van Jones back over at CNN. He excuses the left's support for a wholly un-Me Too candidate in Plattner by saying Democrats will vote for anyone, even Graham Plattner, to resist President Trump.
Plattner is a flawed candidate. He's not running against Susan Collins. He's running against Donald Trump. That's how Democrats are going to see this. And it's really hard for us to hear all this passion from Republicans suddenly about moral standing and being a good person and being kind to puppies. Look at your president. What are you literally talking about? And so I think if you're a Democrat or an independent who's tired of this president running the country into the ground, starting dumb wars he can't win, running up the price of everything, you've got one shot in Maine to send a message not to Graham Plattner, not to Susan Collins, but to this White House is out of control. And I think that's going to be all this stuff is great for cable news. I think on the ground in Maine, it's going to be a fight about the future of the country, not about Graham Plattner's past.
Where's the evidence, Van? I mean, to use your phrase, what kind of evidence have you guys presented over the last 12 years that President Trump lacks some kind of moral standing, that he has some flawed personal characteristics, that he's done anything demonstrable, actionable, right? Every case they put against this guy, every allegation, they had to wiretap his phones. They had to spy on the campaign. They had to create stories so patently absurd that people who might have still believed the media a little bit were like, what you talking about? That Donald Trump needed and wanted to stay in some hotel that the Obamas did and hired prostitutes to urinate on him in that room. Like, in what world do you see that happening? Right? Now, if it's Hunter Biden, I'd be like, yeah, I could totally see that happening. And that's just because he was snorting coke off of prostitutes' butt cheeks. And he flew in across country lines. That's called human trafficking. Don't worry about that. I mean, well, there's nothing to see here. It's like the guy who admits to masturbating in porta potties, who demeaned veterans, right? And who has made disparaging comments about female victims of abuse. What's your guy, Graham Platter? And Van Jones wants to hold his nose and be like, but whatever, as long as it takes out this real corrupt guy, President Trump. Give me one thing. What has he done? Who has he cheated on? Who has he stolen from? Who has he lied to? What has he done? The guy who's been as benevolent in the New York community than anybody has been, besides maybe Michael Bloomberg, that guy who helped Jesse Jackson twice run for president, that guy who helped rebuild precious aspects of Central Park when the bidding got so ridiculous. He's like, look, I'm going to come in and we're going to get it done. Okay, this is ridiculous. What was it? The ice skating rink or whatever it was? The guy who stopped in his limo and talked to a fellow who was going to jump off of a bridge and was like, don't do that. Come here. The guy who saw a good Samaritan helping someone change a tire on the side of the road and gave him $10,000. The guy whose family paid for. Do you remember the story of the guy in the Bronx who came out and was sobbing on television because he told the story of how his dad had died and he had been in school with Donald Trump and his family could no longer pay for the tuition for he or his siblings. And so with their father's death, they were going to also lose all of their friends. And so Donald Trump's dad went over, knocked on the door and was like, you'll never have to pay for education again. We got you covered. That guy from that family, he's the one who's morally bankrupt, Van Jones. See, I could be really biased. I could be seeing things through all the wrong lenses, but I'm sorry. I just don't think so. What's Van Jones' excuse? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, did you hear this one? A new poll is out. Whether you believe polls or not, they're entertaining. This one says more than half of Democrats say they would prefer to live somewhere other than the United States of America. Okay. Where's Rosie O'Donnell? She on speed dial? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
She's in the backyard with the squirrels.
I'm going to run to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Stupidity is an ugly color on everyone. Jasmine Crockett, I know she didn't really want to talk about it, and I agree, the Carmelo Anthony, because it's no one wins in that situation. You have a young man that's dead. You have another one that's going to go to prison until he's in his 50s. What I read, there's no parole, so it's 35 without parole. So he's going to be in his 50s. I mean, who wins? But Jasmine Crockett says Metcalf instigated confrontation with Anthony because he was emboldened by his whiteness. I mean, even I have to say to her, do better. Like, this is the best year. When you rolling up on somebody and being like, get out. Well, if someone rolls up on my house, I'm telling them to get out too. So to me, this is a culture that is being instigated. They're getting real bold with us right now. this whiteness, this replacement theory crap that they on and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, oh, we were the victims. Like, what? This girl has got a lot of great. If this isn't the poster child for what's wrong with the legal system, that someone like Jasmine Crockett can get a degree in it. Where'd she get her degree? A Cracker Jack box? She is just one of the most toxic people in Congress.
No doubt.
Maybe ever.
Yep.
I mean, Jamie Raskin is bad. Adam Schiff, bad. Jasmine Crockett, the level of stupidity that comes along with her.
It's so exhausting. It really is. Quickly, let me tell you guys about Health Revolution. If you're unhappy with your health insurance, it's too expensive. The coverage you really need, you can't afford, and then you're stuck getting stuff that you don't need that's extraordinarily expensive. There's another option, and it's called Health Revolution. info.healthrevolution.net. 800-868-6187. Do me a favor, and you, jot it down. Put it on your toolbar on your computer and hit the bookmark page so you never lose it. This is a program where you design your own health insurance coverage, okay? You decide what policy you want, what kind of elements you want, whether you need dental, whether you want vision, where you have other things, catastrophic, yada, yada, yada. 30 to 60% people are saving on their monthly premiums. That is a lot of money. Some people are saving more than $1,000 a month. There are no copays. There is no some weird open enrollment period where you got to hurry up and make a decision. It's available to you if you are under the age of 65 in reasonably good health. If you're on COBRA, if you're self-employed, if you're just done overpaying, Health Revolution will custom design a plan built around your life. And you get to choose what doctors you want to go to, and then you go to them. Right? How about a little bit of ownership since you're already getting bent over and taken for a ride? info.healthrevolution.net. 800-868-6187.
Jeez.
That slam-a-jamma that?
Well,
Sorry.
you slam that down, the whole camera shakes.
Oh, sorry. Where's the evidence, Van? Where's the evidence about Trump's bankrupt moral character?
There's your example that I used Jessica Tarlov yesterday for women. He's attractive till he opens his mouth.
He's gorgeous. Oh, I could eat him for breakfast. God.
Wow, easy, lady.
I know, sorry. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, what is it about so many people who are not conservative, who don't believe in this whole idea of making America great again? What is it about Democrats that makes them would take it of this 55% of Democrats in this Breitbart story who apparently dislike this country so much they'd rather roll the dice and live somewhere else, as people from around the world die to get across our borders, literally drown in the Rio Grande, desperate to come to this country. The Democrats are like, it's really not that big of a deal. I really don't like it that much. Please. The poll shows many Democrats would rather live in a different country and just wave goodbye. Sayonara, United States of America. The news coming as more in the party view socialism favorably. That makes sense. This is what we're told Californians couldn't wait. The Angelinos couldn't wait for that socialist progressive chick, Nithya Raman. Let me get some of that. Well, I can tell you how that works out in Allegheny County, which is where Brock and I live. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The morons here, if you believe elections, voted for a socialist county executive who on day number one wanted to up our property taxes over 50%. And people were like, what? And so we've settled on 36% because that makes freaking sense. That's what you get. more wells to dip the bucket of needs into until everybody says, you know what? I don't want to live here anymore. Elon University YouGov America 250 National Survey was performed between April 30th and May 4th, asking respondents, is there any other country on earth you would rather live in than the United States today? To which, yes, 55% of Democrats said yes. 38% of independents said yes, while only 10% of Republicans gave the same answer, right? The survey targeted U.S. adults with a sample size of 1,000 and a plus or minus 3.95% margin of error. It's an online, web-based survey. What is it about Democrats? What don't you like about this country? Do you not like the cost overruns from allowing them to steal an election and plant a brain-dead vegetable in the Oval Office who was in his hyperbaric chamber, totally unaware of what the hell was going on, as they jacked up prices, imported millions of cheap laborers to drive down the number of homes available in this country, to freeze you out, cause inflation to go sky high, force barren shelves? You remember? Supply chain crisis? In what America do we live? One that the Democrats tried to destroy. No wonder 55% of Democrats would rather bail and go somewhere else. Unsurprisingly, the survey found that socialism is largely toxic to Republicans and many independents, explaining why far-left Democrats have had more success in places like New York City, but have struggled in red and battleground areas. Yeah, we'll fight you. Get the hell out of here. We have no interest in your failed policies, because in no world can you look at a socialist government as any kind of an experiment that worked. It sucks. That's why all of these countries are in complete disrepair and the citizens are scrounging for basic nutrition. Oh, but 55% of Democrats want to bail and go there. Where is it that Rosie O'Donnell took her family? Where'd they go? Ireland? Did they go to the UK? I forget where they went. Rosie O'Donnell. I just got to leave. She's a wackadoodle central. And then lo and behold, what happens? They crawl back. Oh, maybe it's not as fun as I thought. Really? You don't say. President Trump responded to this by stating, after last night's results, talking about basically Zoran Mamdani winning. This was a quote after he won the mayoral election in New York City. The decision facing all Americans could not be more clear. We have a choice between communism and common sense, right? Can you believe we were even having this conversation? But the insidious part of this experiment that the Democrats have been conducting, they play the long game. They'll infiltrate the public school system, and did 20 odd years ago, to begin baking in the curriculum and in the conversation in the classroom this normalcy of communism and socialism. That if everybody's equal, my, won't that be blissful? Really? So we should just always take from the rich, elevate the poor, so nobody is better than anybody else. What could go wrong? Everything. So when we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends, California's dirty voter rolls crisis. There's a reason why these blue states don't want to share with the Trump administration who's actually voting in their elections, because that makes it harder to cheat. Duh. Next. All right. You know, I was reading a story. Dr. Gundry from the MCT Wellness, thehealthyfat.com/Wendy, who I talk about all the time, who lost 70 pounds drinking this. He actually, about 20 years ago, stepped out of the cardiothoracic surgeon hat that he had been wearing for so many years. And he basically almost went bankrupt trying to create products, making more of an impact, he thought, by creating products that help you and me lose weight, gain control of our lives, and live longer, healthier lives. And it was his wife that Dr. Gundry credits with saving their family from bankruptcy. He had maxed out his credit cards. They were completely over leveraged. He said the who are the people who call, the agencies that call, the creditors call to get their money every single day. His wife took products like MCT Wellness that Dr. Gundry had invented and it had great success with, giving to people, prescribing to people. You don't need a prescription. And then she started selling it. She opened up a storefront. And because it was so popular, because her marketing skills were so good, and people tried this and they had great benefit, saved Dr. Gundry's career and saved the family. I didn't know that. I was like, Shazam, that's kind of cool. Love that. Thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. You're already drinking water. Put a scoop of that in and don't be hungry for 4 or 5 hours. It's magic. It's really not, but it's a great product. And you're going to get to it by going to thehealthyfat.com/Wendy. And if you're new, you'll get 20% off.
I really like this.
You like the watermelon mint?
Yeah.
So you didn't think you were going to like it?
No, I did not.
I think the mint is a very interesting.
I'm not a big watermelon guy. But it's
My last two sons become official adults on Sunday. So weird. And all of you who've already gone through it, you're like, yeah. Weird, right? It's so odd.
Yeah, but your kids call you all the time.
Because they need money. You know what? It was cute. We went to the game last night, and I'm a kiss of death. So we go see Skeens pitch, Dodgers, lots of Dodger fans. It was a beautiful night until the shit hit the roof. Whatever. Anyway, we thought Ryan was still going to be here when we bought the tickets, but he's gone to a summer job already, and the Twins follow him this weekend. So there was an extra ticket. So they brought their friend Griffin, who's so cute. I love him. Anyway, this is my kids. Oh, shush. So we go to the game. We bail in the 7th because it's just terrible. And we go to the parking garage, get our car, drive home, and we're walking in the house. And Christopher hustles up behind me. And he's like, hey, Mom, do you think it's okay if Griffin comes in and stays a little while? And I'm like, yeah. They have been so used to asking for permission for stuff like that. I'm like, you're 18 years old. You guys can do what you want. You're respectful. I go to bed. You're not going to be loud. It's fine. I just thought it was so cute that he was like, hey, Mom. Because the rule is if you ask me in front of your friend, if your friend can do something, my answer is no. Can so-and-so sleep over and so-and-so's right there? No. If you want something, you have to ask me privately so as to not put people on the spot. I'm telling you, my kids are well-oiled machines. And when Chris was asking if he could just stay for a while, I'm like, of course he could stay for a while. It was like 9:45. Yes. It was cute. Aw. I've beat them up enough.
I did. Most good moms, and I'll put you in that category, they beat up enough that you carry it with, you don't resent, but you carry it with the rest of your life. You know, the whole not wanting to disappoint. And I tell you all the time, I always hear, I raised you. But when I do something stupid, I raised you better than that.
See, I'm not necessarily
50 years old.
I'm not interested in haunting them.
It's not haunting. You know what? If I can be a little corny, it's not haunting. It's a reminder every day. Every day for the last 30 some odd years. You know, so it in a sense, it's kind of nice. It's
never forgotten.
It keeps someone who's not around anymore relevant every day in your life. You will be relevant in your kids' lives 20, 30, 40 years after you're gone. It's nice. And not in a bad way, you know.
Yeah, I admit on vacation I felt like a little bit of a punching bag for all the boys. They do like to gang up on me, and I have an okay threshold, but then if I'm tired or whatever, I'm just like, I don't want to be your biatch
Let me
anymore
ask you
right
this.
now.
And would you rather them not talk to you at all?
Don't try to do that. Don't try to do that.
They're still young and stupid. They're still young and stupid.
Aren't you still young and stupid?
Whoa.
Well, he always tells me I'm old.
Well,
wow.
Wow is right. Wow.
You would Google something, tell me about blah, blah, blah. If it's even remotely political, you get a barrage of Associated Press, BBC, NBC, CNN, MS Now, and they're all talking about the same thing. We're going to fact check this. Blah, blah. You can't find something that's just believable and not biased or bent in some way. Feels like a long time. Feels like a long time. I haven't believed a poll in a long time. A long time. And so that's why we kind of set them up on this program. Is like, believe it if you wish. It's kind of for entertainment's sake. These are kind of chatty things, right? But there are some things that just are so obvious in your face that no amount of cajoling, browbeating, bribing, or threatening is going to sway you. If California, run by Democrats, literally suffocated and squeezed by Democrat leaders. If they wanted us to not pay attention to what they do and how they do it, they would have a system that didn't draw so many eyebrows or eyes, so much suspicion. You wouldn't do what was found here in Pennsylvania by a fine group of people, 2 women, 2 moms who weren't civically engaged before the 2020 election, who decided to take government classes and then start teaching government classes. And the site was called auditthevotepa.com. They got involved in the 2020 election and started paying attention to some things that were going on. And then they started getting people in the neighborhood together and saying, did you know this and that? And they started knocking on doors and canvassing various counties across the Commonwealth of the land before time, Pennsylvania, and finding out with Secretary of State data, there are 3 adults registered to vote at this address, except this address doesn't exist. Or there are 15 people registered to vote at this address. I'm going to knock on the door and see if these details are accurate. And they found out in a staggering number of counties that, in fact, there were more people not only registered to vote than eligible to vote, but that the voter roll data was completely screwy. The election results were bogus. How can you have 15 people registered to vote at a P.O. box, right? How do you have 12 people registered to vote in what used to be a shop and save that's been torn down? How does that work? You and I pay attention to this, right? And in California, if Californians, the people running the show, the Democrats, wanted to do what they do their way, it's slow and steady, but we're double checking everything. We want to make sure that no I goes undotted and no T uncrossed. That's such a bogus narrative. You wouldn't have 1.5 million ineligible voters on your voter rolls. And that's just in Los Angeles County, right? So Judicial Watch, have you ever paid attention to them? Because they're interesting. A lot of lawyerese stuff, legalese things that it's kind of hard to process, but interesting. Judicial Watch has sued California to force the removal of 873 inactive voters from its rolls. Why? It's your job. If you're the Secretary of State or you're the clerk, the county clerk, your job is to follow the law. And the law says that if you haven't voted in X number of federal elections and you haven't responded to X number of mailings to your address that say, hey, is this still you? Are you still there? Here's a self-addressed stamped, envelope. Let us know. If you don't respond, you get removed from the voter lists. Now, we told you about Dean Logan. He's the clerk there in LA County. And he's had his own issues with allegations of impropriety and unclean voter rolls. Wouldn't you think, if you're being sued by Judicial Watch, and you were, by the way, 7 years ago in 2019, when they found at Judicial Watch that LA County and the clerk, Dean Logan, had unpurged voter rolls that led to a 112% registration rate? Don't you think if you wanted everybody to believe what you were doing, that you would do the right job and clean that up? Well, logically, you would say that, but there is nothing logical about this. There is evidence, Van Jones. There is evidence, Chris Cuomo, and it's evidence that the Democrats continually feed us in terms of suspicion. 873,000 inactive voters are still on LA County's voter rolls. So does it shock you at all that Nithya Raman would have some weird late surge? That she'd wildly become popular among people who can't even pronounce her name? And did you hear about the ballot initiative that raised their... Brock, did you hear about this? That there's some ballot initiative on the mayoral whatever, or maybe it was the statewide system, that was going to raise the sales tax from an ungodly, like 9.75%, 0.5%, up to 10.25%.
Which hurts poor people the most.
Hello. And the initiative was failing until that late night ballot surge by Nithya Raman, where everybody who wanted her, and I can't say everybody, but enough to make the tax increase pass. All of a sudden, all these people who wanted Nithya Raman also were really cool with the cost of living in their state going up. In what world does that make sense to you? It doesn't. It doesn't. Any more than Spencer Pratt all of a sudden laid an egg, and the Democrat response to that was, oh my gosh, we really wanted to go up against him. And if you don't believe us, the LA Times put out a poll that proves it. Wink, wink. Oh, that's supposed to help us out. So if Democrats and media hacks like Chris Cuomo insist there's no cheating at scale in California, how do you explain away our understandable suspicion that the state's voter rolls are beyond completely unbelievable, but also that the Democrat machine is paying people to sign up to vote? I want you to listen to this. There's a guy, because the media is not doing it, right? So weird. There's a guy who kind of does his own Nick Shirley. And he's like, wait a minute. I've heard maybe that some people are paying the homeless and the drug addicted in Skid Row, of which there are thousands and thousands, giving them a couple bucks for their next hit to sign this document and vote for so-and-so. No, that's not happening. There's no evidence of that, would say the left, without listening or searching for any. This fella did it. And he found a homeless woman on Skid Row who said very point blank, probably high, but she said, people come all the time and pay her to vote for certain candidates. Which candidates? Listen.
Did you vote?
Yeah.
Oh, you did for Karen Bass?
Yeah. Karen Bass. Right. That's her last name, Bass?
Karen Bass, yeah.
Yeah.
Or Nithya Raman?
Karen.
Karen? They told you to vote for Karen?
Yeah, they had to sign a little thing.
And how much they pay you?
It was like $2.
$2? Or to sign off on a thing to vote for her?
Yeah.
So they do this for everybody out here?
Yeah, they come out here all the time.
They just get everybody to vote out here, huh?
Remember, this exact type of voter fraud is exactly what James O'Keefe has been exposing. You know, there are groups, NGOs, that are paying people for votes. They're paying homeless people $2, $5. There's an entire network of these people that are ballot harvesting, which, by the way, California Democrats made illegal. They actually expanded and made it legal for third parties to go out and ballot harvest.
So stop telling me there's no evidence, that you have no right to be suspicious. New York Post headline, California election worker caught in alleged cheating scandal as their secret illegal activities are exposed. What? Yeah, California election worker has allegedly been caught breaking into a locked ballot cabinet and making copies as questions continue over the legitimacy of the state's elections. The staffer, who's not been named, is under investigation over the count in Shasta County, north of Sacramento, after the incident was exposed yesterday. Officials said the case involved a small number of extra ballots that may have been sent out before Election Day and that it had been reported to the Secretary of State's office. There's no fraud, Chris Cuomo told us. There's no fraud at scale. Chris, where's your evidence debunking our suspicions? See, we're those ants in the jar and somebody's shaking us. Meanwhile, the real dastardly deed is the theft of our elections and the erosion of trust among the people in the process. An official said the case involved a small number of extra ballots that may have been sent out before Election Day. During a reconciliation of the early vote, which is a standard process following an election, discrepancies were found. Wow. Suggesting that a small number of additional ballots may have been handed out to voters prior to Election Day by one employee, they said. Disclosure stems from an incident that occurred June 4th at the Shasta County Elections Department in Redding, California. Election workers uncovered irregularities while conducting a routine reconciliation of early voting records following the election, according to the county. I don't know. Didn't we just talk about that guy? The child actor and crypto billionaire dude who's offering $1 million in cold hard cash to anybody who's got actionable proof of malfeasance and fraud. The county said because of the reconciliation has to be completed before certain reports are available, yada, yada, yada. Some reports might not have been properly balanced before being run through the system, what have you. Make all the excuses you want. If some lady's been caught breaking into a cabinet in which ballots are stored, how's that any different than that Jesse guy from Long Island who was a UPS driver or a USPS driver whose load of Gaylord filled out ballots from Pennsylvania? He was driving from Long Island. Why were there all sorts of ballots, filled out 2020 ballots, signatures, and everything on the back of the envelope? Why were those being sent from New York in advance of the 2020 election? I'm sure there's no evidence. Certainly not evidence at scale. I mean, just so we're sure. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, this is the best 2 minutes of Greg Gutfeld I've seen in a while. He explains why he sees Graham Plattner as a tranny who slayed two movements in one Senate run. It makes sense right after this on the Wendy Bell radio program. Thank you. Everybody and his brother is trying to text me right now, and I'm like, I'm busy.
Don't they know I'm the only one that's allowed to text you?
That's right. Don't you know this? All right, GLP-1 Gold. It's interesting when Juvenon talked to me about this product. They're like, look, this is our number one weight loss supplement, and this is a heavy hitter in that people who have taken this have lost significant amounts of weight. So this is not for your weekend dieter. The person who feels a little bloated and just wants the tummy to even out a little bit before they have to put on an evening gown. That's not what this is. This is for people who are morbidly overweight and need help. You're plateauing. You're trying to lose weight, and by golly, the needle on the scale is not moving. And you're like, I can only eat rabbit food for so long. Something's happening. This is your jam. GLP-1 Gold. Go to bloodflow7.com/Wendy. All of the products on Juvenon's website, bloodflow7.com/Wendy, come with 30% off for this viewing family. This product, and some people were paying like $1,500 a month for those injections, and the long-term effects of those still don't know. On the heels of COVID, it makes me feel uncomfortable to rush into a pharmacological product, a pharmaceutical product that involves injections. If you're also on the fence, but you want to try something, this is, you have 50, 70, 100 pounds to lose. GLP-1 Gold. Take a look at that. 30% off bloodflow7.com/Wendy. All right. So I don't know. Has anybody heard what Spencer Pratt, what his response has been? I think he's been kind of above board. I think he's been very measured, sort of like Bill O'Reilly in a very measured way, like Scott Jennings in a very measured way, handled what clearly is extraordinarily suspicious. And he could have flown out the handle and been like, these people are such jerks. Look at what they're doing. And he's like, look, trust in God. God is in charge. That's it. God is in charge. That's like Austin Metcalf's dad not wanting to go nutty on Carmelo Anthony's family and being like, what did you teach your child? How is this okay? Very interesting.
Okay, we're way behind on Rumbles. 1.85.
Oh my God. That does suck. That's very unfortunate. All right, let's see who else we get to talk about. Just GhostBed and Chef IQ? Sounds good to me, baby. I love seeing you. Thank you for being here. 4,600. Do. I don't care if you buy anything from me. I don't care if you share this program. All I ask of you is if you show up here, if you'd be so kind as to leave me a Google review, which is just that thumbs up button underneath the video box. That's your Rumble button. And it certainly matters to us. And our advertisers pay very close attention to that. So thank you.
Act Blue is in congressional hearings.
Mm-hmm. Did you hear
And
the
they
main
plead
broad
the
pled the
fifth.
fifth? Mm-hmm. What's your name? On the advice of counsel, I'm not going to respond so as to not incriminate myself.
Tell me you're guilty without telling me you're guilty.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. I really have been, I will say, over the last 24, 36 hours, impressed with a lot of the Republican pushback against feisty Democrats. Leland Vittert is the one who was interviewing Bill O'Reilly at the beginning of the show. And he was getting really fussy about no evidence about election fraud. There's no evidence. Blah, 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 blah. And Bill O'Reilly very calmly dismantled him and said, sometimes, Leland, it's not the hard evidence out of the gates that you need. It's the common sense to speak up about something being wrong. That was January 6th, right? Greg Gutfeld had a great take on Graham Plattner being pushed over the finish line in Maine's Democrat Senate race. And he says, you know what? It's a parade of creeps and pervs. Like, Democrats get behind the weirdest, most disturbing people. And it's just, if you think it's just a wacko liberal crazy chick, the white college educated liberal lady who is so unbecoming because of her just blah, Listen to Greg Gutfeld. He explains why he sees Graham Plattner as a trans man who has slayed, in fact, 2 movements in 1 Senate run. Listen.
Democrats have no creep radar. So this is just an example, but a burly guy in a dress can show up to teach sex ed in your 5th graders class. And those parents would say, oh, but that's their lived experience. A Republican truck driver would pull the guy up by the scruff of his neck and throw him through a window. Think about all the parades, the parade of creeps and pervs that the Democrats have introduced to us, or embraced or defended, whether it's Anthony Weiner or Swalwell, Antifa, trans activists. They cannot see a creep if it's sitting on their lap doing a whatever. Plattner is a hero, and I'll tell you why. He's done a tremendous service. He's slayed 2 big movements. The You're a Nazi movement. By being a Nazi and being accepted by the left, you can't call anybody a Nazi anymore. What about the Me Too movement? Well, by not believing all women, that goes out the window because he got the most strident adherents of those causes to accept him, revealing that whole scene was theatrics. And he's the most toxic male since Jeffrey Dahmer took up cooking. Also, left-wing males now have a great new excuse. If you're unemployed, sleeping on the couch, mooching off your parents, you're not a bum. You're just going through a dark period. And if you try to rape a woman, just say, I thought it was a guy trying to break into my car. And I rape men as a power move so they don't rip me off. But Plattner, to my point, is not a man. He's a trans man. A person who exaggerates the stereotypes of masculinity, from the face fur to the tats to the deep guttural grind of his death metal voice. He comes off as real as a California election.
Isn't that great? It's like everything they have to put out to you is not real. I think this is why I like John Fetterman. I in no way share this dude's views. I have relentlessly railed on him. When he went up against Mehmet Oz here in Pennsylvania, I was like, are you freaking kidding me? The guy whose campaign hid that he had a stroke, right? Hid it. And then whose performance at the debate, the first 4 words out of his mouth when it was his time to make his opening plea to seal his case to the American people was hello and good night. And I was like, oh my gosh. And yet somehow that lumbering oaf of a man has been more real, whether you like what he says or how he says it or what he gets behind. There's no mystery. You know what you're getting. And damn, is America starving for that. This isn't complicated. But the left have painted themselves into a corner. They've squandered money to cover up for Kamala Harris's low IQ everything. They have no people. They have no leaders. They have no believability. And now they've imported millions of people on your dime. And they just need to limp across the finish line for a couple more months. Aren't you tired of that? I am. When we come back on the Wendy Bell Radio program, hour number 3 already. They're pretty good on the left of floating their own conspiracy theories. Wait until you hear how the crew over at Morning Joe on MS Now are going after basically this whole California election thing, blaming Trump? Next. This whole idea that Donald Trump and his minions want to meddle in the elections. If they wanted to meddle in elections, they would have installed somebody they wanted in Venezuela. They would have done a lot of different moves in Iran. All these things are connected, as Laura Logan told us yesterday, which I thought was fascinating. Karen Bass's brother sues Los Angeles after his Malibu home burned down in the Palisades fire. That's curious, isn't it? What's he going to get? More than Spencer Pratt? I don't know. Let's see. Native Path. My collagen. Collagen is a big deal. This is a kind of a disturbing statistic that they shared with me over at Get Native Path. Something that genuinely is shocking. Most collagen supplements have more ingredients that you cannot identify than the ones that you can. They put a lot of fluff, a lot of frills, a lot of extras into their stuff, whereas Native Path just puts in one ingredient, pure grass-fed collagen peptides. That's it. 100% pure grass-fed collagen peptides. Third-party tested, nothing hidden. And here's why it matters, because after 30, you are already, producing less collagen every single year. And I'm 4 years away from turning 60. God, that sounds weird to put out there verbally in reality. By the time you're in your 60s, forget about it. You're halfway. Your collagen, natural collagen is gone. A lot of women, for vanity's sake, I will be part of that category, guilty as charged, take collagen supplements and peptides for our skin to fluff up the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles. Other people take it for bone density, bone health. Others take it for their teeth, their nails, their hair. Whatever the reason why, you should investigate why collagen peptides are a part of our diets. We should have them in our systems. Right here, this is what I take, up to 45% off. GetNativePath.com/Wendy. Brock puts a scoop in his thing and mine every single day. He takes the Chuck Juice. I take Dr. Gundry, and we both take a hit of the collagen peptides. Got to do it for a couple months. Get one of these jars from GetNativePath.com/Wendy, up to 45% off. And you'll have a couple months worth. It just makes sense, baby. That's what I'm saying. Oh.
I'm going to say something nice to you and agree with someone in the chat. New K's in the chat, I agree. Wendy looks good for 60. See, I've said something.
That is rude. That's rude and mean.
Are you saying you don't look good for 60?
2.02 we need. I'd love 500 to hit 2,500 rumbles would be great. We used to get 4,000 when we had our 9 a.m. time slot, and we'd regularly have probably 8,000 to 9,000 people watching. And then we took a stab at changing our time. This is Rush Limbaugh's time. I'm keenly aware of that fact, but it was for our livelihoods, for our own wellness. And we took a major hit with views and rumbles and all of that, but not with you, not with the P1ers. We love you. I love you. Brock, probably not so much. What? Let's see. Who is texting me now? Like, good gracious.
Do me handle that for you. This morning, Joe. His wife is just toxic.
See, when I listen to her, it just, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be blind. But like, if there was proof about stuff with Trump, we would have seen it. If he was fiddling with people with Epstein, we would have learned about it. If he was a lousy human being who raped E. Jean Carroll, right? All these things are just so obviously tomatoes that they've tried to throw at his face. And yet Van Jones tries to merchandise that last night on a panel. You want to talk to us about Graham Platter when you've got Donald Trump? I'm like, the guy who believes in a golden age, the guy who believes in tariffs and other countries not ripping us off, the guy who believes that American manufacturers should be able to charge fees from other countries that want to buy our stuff, the guy who wants Iran not to be able to have a nuclear weapon, the guy who wanted to close the border and find all the children, that guy, he's the guy that you're going to tell us is our Achilles heel. Are you out of your mind? Right?
No. I was waiting for you to stop.
Sorry.
I agree 100%.
I'm jibberjaw. I'm telling you, that calm mood is really something.
Did you take it?
I did. I took it instead of focus and recall.
Really?
Yes.
This morning?
Yes. I was a little trepidatious.
You didn't take focus and recall?
I did not take a focus and recall. I took calm mood. Have you been able to tell a difference?
I asked you if you took your focus and recall, and you told me yeah.
No, I took calm mood.
So you gave me fake news before.
I quite frankly, I don't remember you asking me if I took focus and recall. I wouldn't have said yes.
Well, that shows you didn't take your focus and recall.
I didn't. No, I took calm mood. And while I'm fussy, I'm not necessarily interested in throwing people down the stairs right now. That could change.
Oh, that's a good thing for me.
We still have an hour to go.
Oh, but maybe not.
I wasn't talking about you.
Oh.
Karen Bass. What a turd. Zero turd. What a communist Cuba lover. Fidel Castro, jock sniffer. What a dirtbag.
4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell, America's anchor mom, fighting for America 1 hour at a time. Welcome to the family.
We're going to win so much. We're going to win at every level. We're going to win economically. We're going to win with the economy. We're going to win with military. We're going to win with healthcare and for our veterans. We're going to win with every single facet. We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
3 hours of bold truth and excellence. You've just signed up for the WBR Army. Strap in. This is the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program is live. Look, this program is 3 hours of common sense conservatism. That's it. And I think it's very reasonable. I think it's refreshing to hear people who make you feel like you're not nutty and that you're not by yourself. The open that Brock just played leading into the show here was President Trump talking about winning. That's the guy that the Democrats hate. The guy who wants everybody to win. That's the guy. That's what this is all about. Donald Trump is an existential threat to one thing, and to one thing only: the deep state. And it is a labyrinthine, twisted spider web of connections and fraud and suck. One guy. It all rests with this one guy. So interesting. No wonder they hate him. Morning Joe over on MS Now. This is usually what's his face, Scarborough, and his wife, Mika Brzezinski. The crew over there, Joe, is gone apparently because it's the one Jonathan guy, Jonathan Lemire, whatever, and they also have a guest on. This is literally just 2 minutes, back and forth. But I wanted to cut this up. I asked Brock if he would cut it up very specifically so you could listen. The Democrats on this panel who are the first to tell you there's no evidence. What evidence is there? What are the ones without evidence who are going to tell you now that they know what's going on? They have a magic 8-ball. They've been shaking it around, and the die inside has come up and told them exactly the Republican playbook. Oh, yes. It's all about redistricting, stealing people's voices and representation. And then it's all about threatening people at the polls by putting ICE agents outside, which would have quite a chilling effect, wouldn't you think, on illegals that the Democrats are so desperate to have vote for them because they need them to vote for them to stay in power. This is going to be the narrative of this small interchange, a small exchange of ideas on this MS Now Morning Joe panel. Republicans plan to meddle in the midterms and refuse the results in November if they don't win. That's their game at MS Now. Not only is it irresponsible for them to say that, it is dangerous for them to say that. So we're going to begin. Mika Brzezinski drops the baseless claims line. Of course, they're not investigating to know anything is baseless or not, but it's such a standard catchphrase, isn't it? And then she belittles any American who finds the mayoral results in Los Angeles even the slightest bit fishy.
President Trump amplifying baseless claims of election fraud in California. This continues as vote counts show his endorsed candidate, Spencer Pratt, has been defeated in the Los Angeles mayoral race. Trump took to social media yesterday, writing in part, quote, "Not possible for Spencer Pratt to have lost the LA runoffs after the big lead he had. Rigged elections." Here we go again. That's how California counts its ballots every year. I'll speak slowly for those who are confused.
That's the kind of down talking that Scott Pelley is famous for. That's how Chris Cuomo spoke yesterday to U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley. Let me speak slowly so your little mind can understand what's really going on. By the way, Mika, Donald Trump did not endorse Spencer Pratt, nor did Spencer Pratt want an endorsement. He wanted the attention of Angelenos who are tired of decades of failure from Democrats in charge. So the minute you start finger wagging us off of bad information that you yourself couldn't bother yourself to fact check, tells us everything about what's about to ensue. So they bring on this guest. I'll be honest with you, I don't know who the guy is, but he's claiming that the Republicans being critical of California's clearly flawed election system, they're the ones who are ruining this country. Not that there's a system that is so porous and so ridiculous and so unbelievably stupid that has caused such great suspicion. It's that Republicans dare to talk about that. That's the threat. Got it.
It really sucks for democracy. This is the stuff you see happen in a broken country, in a third world country where they've not been able to govern effectively. Every time you call into question whether or not our elections are valid, you weaken the soul of the country.
That guy, by the way, is the co-founder of Axios, which is a ridiculously left-wing rag, which is a propaganda wing of the Democratic Party. What you have here is Republicans ruining everything. Yeah, I mean, if you speak out about things that are obviously obvious, it kind of makes it harder for the cheat to continue wide open in plain view, right? This is where host Jonathan Lemire, whatever his face is, pushes his own conspiracy without evidence. Where's your evidence, Jonathan? That Team Trump is going to meddle in the midterms because you know that's what Republicans do. We have so many allegations and so many demonstrable cases of Republicans screwing the voting rolls, Republicans refusing to cooperate with, election authorities and giving over all of the lists, Republicans stacking the deck, stuffing the ballots. When was the last time you heard of Republican accused of, charged with, or found guilty of election fraud or malfeasance? Jonathan, this is what he had to say. He says, if they we're going to refuse to accept the results of the midterms, he says, and we're not going to allow the Democrats to regain control of the House, even though there's a shocking lack of confidence in Democrats in Congress. Listen.
And there's two different plays they could take while claiming conspiracies as we look towards November's midterms. They could claim irregularities, they can claim conspiracies, and actively take measures to interfere with the vote. Or they could say, well, the voting result is illegitimate and we're not going to honor it, and therefore not give the Democrats, let's say, the House of Representatives.
Last time you heard a so-called conspiracy theory that turned out to be wrong. Literally. See, conspiracy theory is code for fact, and a fact check is done by a left-wing group, poll, media, politician, hack of some sort to smokescreen the truth. That is actually what's going on here. But this is my favorite. This is the last clip from this Morning Joe panel. It's a guest named Richard Haass. He's a longtime president of the Council on Foreign Relations. And he proves right now, lets the mask slip. The Democrats are most worried about ICE agents outside of polling locations on Election Day in November. And those ICE agents having a chilling effect on the people, quite frankly, they spent the last 5 years trying to get into this country. Illegal aliens giving them everything. The sky's the limit. Free food, free housing, education, medical care, anything you need. Just pull that lever, baby. They need to get them across the finish line. And this guest, Richard Haass, tells you this is going to be the mantra all summer long.
So what we're seeing now is a two-part strategy. One is before people cast their votes, one is after. The before, things like redistricting is going to be a real issue, voter repression, having ICE or other troops around and so forth, making it really hard to reach polling stations in largely Democratic districts. That's the pre-vote process. Then you have after the votes, how do you ensure the integrity of the process? Don't be surprised in November if we see voting machines and ballot boxes seized. And so forth, in order to prevent fraud. But what we're going to find is local officials may find themselves no longer in control of mail-in ballots. And then, as you're right, this could end up in the House or whatever. So what we're seeing is a multi-phase, multi-pronged strategy. Here we are. This is the 250th year of this country. Here we are. We're meant to be honoring, celebrating the Declaration. And we probably right now are facing, in some ways, the most concerted assault potentially, hopefully won't happen. But these rumblings, this is really worrisome stuff. This is preparing the ground, as you say, for a serious pushback against, I think, a free and fair election this November. So people ought to take this seriously.
If there's no reason for you to fear getting in line and casting your vote for a candidate in November, then you shouldn't worry about ICE agents being anywhere near you. If, however, you're an illegal alien worried of deportation, well, then that's a different story, Richard. Or should we just call you Dick? This is why millions of Americans have lost faith in both parties. You feel the jar being shaken a bit? Hey, you guys remember the show Bowling for Dollars? Well, there's a new version. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called Slumming for Votes. Yeah, we're going to talk about that in California next. Why is it that I have to go to the bathroom again? Holy Moses. Ireland Contracting, 1-800-NEW-ROOF. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. This is a great company. If you've got a significant project, right? If you're putting in new windows, not just one or two, but you want new windows all throughout your house. call IrelandContracting.com if you live in southwestern Pennsylvania. If you want and you know you need a new roof and you have no idea what it's going to cost and you're scared to death, I feel you. I was right there with you. At least you're going to get a result that you can depend on. You don't have to pay for it. They're not going to charge you to have somebody come out from Ireland Contracting, get up on your roof, do a full survey, even show you pictures of things that clearly are going to be a problem. They're going to tell you how much it's going to cost. And that estimate is good for a year. So you can save, right? And Gary even patched up holes in my roof. He was great. This is your company. They're wonderful people. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. You will not be disappointed. I can tell you that I am a customer. I am a customer, and I love them.
You have 3 minutes.
I'll wait. Thank you, though.
Two 2 minutes, 40 seconds.
It'll force me to become that much more scintillating in my delivery here. As I'm like, it's burger night at my house. Burger night. I know a lot of people get in their own meat, right? And they add their own stuff. Brock makes his own burgers. They're quite delicious. You put an egg, you put bacon bits, right? What else do you throw in yours? You put Lipton soup mix?
No,
I do.
Worcestershire sauce.
Worcestershire.
And
there's no way to not
bit
sound
of
like you're
panko
drunk.
crumbs or the
Mhm.
just to hold it together, but and then cheese, the shredded cheese.
Wow. Yeah. So my favorite burger of all time is the burger that our little 14th Ward baseball team and baseball, they cook in the little shop at the Little League games. They're frozen patties stuck in a sleeve that you can get at Costco or Sam's Club. Oh my God. They're so great. And it's so probably bad for you, but those are my favorite. I'm literally drooling over the thought of having one of those tonight.
I was thinking about making burgers Saturday.
For what?
Well, the grill's right there while you're working. You could just tend to the burgers that I throw on the grill.
Maybe there's some, I don't know, windows I can clean for you too.
I did stop and get a case of beer yesterday.
What, are you going to ply me with beer and burgers? This is my pay?
Yeah.
Such garbage.
Could get nothing and like it.
You could do it all by yourself and like it even more.
I mean, you offered. There's video proof.
I could absolutely be like, you know what? The kids are leaving tomorrow. It's their birthday.
I like to spend one more day.
They're so ready to get away from me. Today, they had to go to the bank and set up a student checking account out of their savings account so they can get an ATM and a card and be able to withdraw money. These are the big moments, people. Right? I'm surprised it's taken me this long. What a fool.
Well, they have to be 18, right?
No, not for the student checking. We could have done that a long time ago, and I never did. Why do I keep drinking if I know I have to go to the bathroom?
So no burgers for Wendy, apparently.
I don't know. I like my little frozen sleep. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. You know, the problem, if you're a Democrat right now and you are pushing back against suspicions of people on the right about election integrity, let's just say, sticking with California, and you want to say that there's no evidence, no widespread evidence at scale that this would matter. If a couple people here and there cheat, you know what happens? What are you going to do? Is it enough? I don't think so. Well, this is interesting because we played for you the Skid Row homeless woman in the last segment, maybe two segments ago, who admitted to, she got paid a couple bucks. And it's happened for years where folks come from an NGO. She didn't say that, but that's assuredly what it is. And they harvest ballots among the homeless and the drug addicted on Skid Row. Captive audience. It's like going into a nursing home when people are like, ugh, and not with it. Well, we're going to sign what we think you want. How is that fair, good, or anything? Well, it's coming out. And U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley maybe was hammered yesterday by Chris Cuomo because this is the information that's been given to Bill Asaley as the U.S. Attorney to investigate these allegations, evidence of potential fraud. Headline: Skid Row homeless claim that they've been paid to vote for Karen Bass and Nithya Raman. A series of shocking videos show homeless residents in Los Angeles' Skid Row claiming that they were paid to vote for Mayor Karen Bass and Councilwoman Nithya Raman. Why never for Spencer Pratt? Why never? Why? Oh, I don't know. Do we not cheat? I doubt that's the case. I don't know if we do it better, but holy cow. California Post obtained copies of the videos that after they were published Tuesday on a TikTok account called Lane Needs Spencer Pratt. And the footage, recorded near 7th Street and Flower Street, downtown Los Angeles yesterday morning, has since been provided to the Department of Justice. It also follows the Post's revelations that thousands of homeless voters were registered to shelters where they did not live. One shelter in Venice, where 185 Raman voters, Nithya Raman voters, were registered. 185 in one shelter in Venice. Wow. That's the one that received $600,000 from taxpayers' care of the socialist Raman. In one of the clips, a man who calls himself Kevin Shepard claims that he received $4 to vote for Karen Bass. $4. That's some drugs, ladies. That's the riches on Skid Row. When asked whether he would also have been paid to vote for Raman, Shepard answered yes and said Spencer Pratt was not among the candidates he was encouraged to support. Wait a minute. We were told by Van Jones and Harry Enton. Harry was flapping his arms. You conspiracy theorists, you think that the Democrats didn't want to go up against Spencer Pratt because Karen Bass was going to beat the snot out of him, says the LA Times, who nobody believes or trusts. Oh, wait a minute, but nobody was told to vote for Spencer Pratt on Skid Row. Huh. They gave you an optional choice, Shepard claimed. Again, this is a homeless guy on Skid Row, alleging that he was offered $2 but negotiated for a higher payment, right? Worked the system and ultimately received $4. Shepard further claimed he completed a mail-in ballot for Bass and deposited it in a ballot box. Skid Row resident Renee Johnson also claimed she received $5 after being told to vote for Bass. Johnson said she supported Bass, but told the creator she was still unclear about some of the forms she'd completed. But at the time, I didn't know that was going on, she said. I was just trying to make $5, but I didn't do the fraud. Huh. When asked if she thought it was fraud, she said that she thought it was fraudulent behavior, but she also said she thought people were being taken advantage of. Another woman who said she was living on the street also claimed she accepted money to vote for Mayor Bass. It was like $2, she said, adding that, they come out here all the time. The content creator behind the videos said he visited the area after being alerted by a friend who works nearby and claimed to have seen political volunteers operating in the neighborhood in the lead up to the election. Everybody said it was normal. The content creator told the Post. They said people came through all the time. The creator said he spent about 2 hours speaking with residents. Oh, that's 2 more than Chris Cuomo. That's 2 more than Van Jones. There's no evidence of fraud. No, not at all. Isn't it just so profoundly and absurdly insulting that whomever's hand is shaking the jar just does so incessantly, making us fight each other instead of fighting the real story, the fraud. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, a worldwide call for action that none of the legacy media cared to show up to report. All about UFOs and aliens, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my, buckle up next. Okay.
I thought I was being nice by offering her lunch. Guess not. Apparently, if I don't serve crappy burgers. Speaking about seasonings before, don't forget to go to disinfectwithsniper.com. They're doing for Father's Day the Hunt Chef variety pack. I think you save $20 if you buy the whole package. And the 250 flags are on sale. Running out of time. They're going to be on. He said he's putting them on sale all month. So hopefully you get it today, or if you haven't gotten it yet. Flags are pretty cool. I like them. I keep this one here. It's for show and tell. They're on sale. And you can get Sniper. And you can get Harmony. They have a mosquito repellent one now that if you spray it, it smells a little garlicky. They have Harmony for the plants. They have Harmony for the bugs. They have. I use the rose bush dirt. My one rose bush did not make it, but my other one.
Did you talk about the fertilizer?
That's what I was talking about right now.
Great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Disinfectwithsniper.com.
Well, the Father's Day for the all 12 Hunt Chef spices, it's $20 off, and spices don't go bad, especially these ones. You're going to eat them. You're going to love them.
It's
I
delicious.
use them every day.
They have spices in this 12-pack for meat, for poultry, for fish. They have a Bayou blend that's kind of like this.
The big sexy beast.
You're in Louisiana and New Orleans, and you're going to be opening up some crawfish and whatnot. It's that kind of, it's
You
so
want
good.
the big sexy beast.
Is that right?
That's my favorite. That and Canadian carnivore. Oh, yeah. But get the flags, too. They're on sale all month. Disinfectwithsniper.com. Disinfectwithsniper.com. I feel like we talk about Sniper all the time, and I use it literally every day. So it's.
Well, let me see if I can pull up a review that we haven't read in a while, because we got a couple minutes to do that.
Sniper products are just great, and you'll have it within probably 2 days. He's faster than
you order
Amazon.
it today, it gets shipped today.
Yeah.
I love the one from the firefighter who was like, I'm a volunteer firefighter in my local whatever, and we use it to wipe down the pumper, the inside of the pumper truck after a fire, and also on their clothing. So because it reeks. Knockout. They use Knockout.
I have not found anything where you can't use it.
Right.
I use it in my car, my cigar room. I use Knockout in the cigar room.
Barbara says, I think I've bought every product you've promoted, but if I by far, these are my favorite. I bought the gallon of Sniper. I've used a ton between spraying my shower tiles. And by the way, it's really great. If you have a tendency to get athlete's foot,
I do.
Sniper is phenomenal for athlete's foot, fungal infections like that. You spray it on your foot, put on a sock, right? Spray it on your shower. I also just ordered a gallon of Knockout because I've had the original spray bottle I ordered. The Harmony works great on the red spiders. They come outside during the beginning of summer. It kills on contact. I've been a follower for many, many years. There is not an old story you tell that I don't remember. She's trying to tell me nice that I repeat myself too much. But I love that, Barbara. Thank you so much. I agree.
Might be. I fly my 250 flag. It's been flying for months.
That's neat.
Oh, Myron said he put his out in January. Still looks great. Good.
Send us a picture.
Yeah, he had this. I remember when he first put him on sale, you guys literally bought him out.
Mm-hmm.
Like you bought him out. The flag company, he ordered so many and they're like,
what's going on?
What's going on?
Right? And
He did the same thing with the sniper guy. The guy who owns, like the distributor, like the guy who makes it. He put an order in. He puts orders in by the pallet. And this guy's like, where are you selling? What are you doing? He sells more than Amazon.
so there's a local radio station where Brock and I first met. We stay on. When your mainstream media top suspects, the CNN, MS Now, ABC, NBC, CBS, all in lockstep, either show up somewhere to cover a story or avoid it entirely. It's not like, oh, I saw CBS and CNN there, but not the others. It's like all or nothing. And you know where none of these media outlets were yesterday? That I could see, I could be wrong, but I doubt it. I've seen no coverage of those networks, from those networks, of what happened outside the People's House on the Capitol steps yesterday. And it was really a worldwide call for action. A bipartisan group of lawmakers calling for the public release of what's believed to be detailed and hidden government records involving unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAPs, UFOs, say what you want, but aliens, their spacecraft, and their bodies. Let's just say it as it is. Now, this is one of those things where, kind of circling back to the opening monologue, where imagine if you were somebody who believed all the garbage. If you were a Democrat, if you were Mika Brzezinski or any of these people on the left who make a lot of interesting baseless claims without evidence, without even trying to find if they're right or wrong, what if you would find out that, in fact, we're not the only life species in this galaxy, this universe, which was, I don't know, 14 billion years old. And we've been around for like a hot second, and yet we're arrogant enough to think that nothing else exists out there. It does exist. And it exists far more than we know because the government's lied to us. And I'm not so sure it's the government. It's the blob. It's those bureaucrats. It's the defense contractors. It's these companies that we didn't elect that somehow have the keys to the castle with this information. This yesterday on the steps was this group of lawmakers in Congress saying, Mr. President, this is like the Gorbachev. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down that wall. This is Mr. President. Open up the vault. Give the whistleblowers protection. Remove the parameters of these non-disclosure agreements they were all forced to sign, and release to the American people, to the world, so everybody knows what's going on. So on the steps of the Capitol, kicked off by David Grush, he's a former Air Force intelligence officer and former representative to the Pentagon's UAP task force. He became this pretty regular name after he alleged that the U.S. government possessed recovered craft of non-human origin, aliens, and has operated these secret programs designed to study the technology. I want you to hear what he said because he drops a bomb in science-y speak that we will decode. What he tells us in this 45-second clip is that our adversary, it's China, I'm going to opine. China's recovered its own alien aircraft and its own alien life forms. It's been conducting experiments on them and simultaneously spying on our studies of these alien spacecraft and the life found inside them, which, by the way, is a huge national security threat. Listen.
For decades, unknown objects have freely operated in restricted airspace in large metropolitan areas and critical infrastructure, and the agencies responsible for securing the homeland cannot adequately defend against it. This is a serious national security issue. In my official duties, I was exposed to human and signals intelligence information concerning foreign adversary, UAP crash retrieval, exploitation and study efforts, adversary views on U.S. legacy program reverse engineering efforts, and U.S.-held audiovisual information related to crash retrieval matters, such as the recovered vehicles and the associated biological material.
Weird, like letting people from China come over here with visas to quote unquote study in our universities and be in our research labs might not have been such a great idea. It's like, what? That's a huge shocker. UFO push for disclosure shattering greatest cover-up in U.S. history. That's what David Grush said. I'm going to read you this, not a bad little article that gives you a good synopsis from News Nation. The continued push for UFO disclosure has a former Pentagon UFO researcher feeling the greatest cover-up in American history is being shattered. So it wasn't just Grush, it was also Luis Elizondo's comments following lawmakers and UAP whistleblower David Grush calling on the White House to give whistleblowers immunity during a gathering at the U.S. Capitol on Tuesday. The group also called for the release of files related to alleged encounters with non-human beings and information regarding extraterrestrial life. He's testified before, for the record, David Grush, this is Luis Elizondo saying this, about the existence of non-human intelligence, Elizondo said during a Tuesday Cuomo appearance, citing his previous working relationship with Grush at U.S. Space Force and the access that they were both given. He added that the latest step taken by lawmakers, this joint presentation to the world, adds more to the national conversation about disclosure. And he says, I think it's finally resonating with the American people. I think they're finally waking up to the fact that the government has been lying to us. During the gathering, Grush highlighted the government's knowledge of foreign adversary intelligence. The whistleblower, he said, was apprised of foreign adversary UAP crash retrieval, exploitation, and study efforts. So we're in this weird race with these other countries to not just keep covering up what we know about UFOs, spacecraft, and aliens, but this race to create the technology that clearly has existed long before we ever got here to somehow, I don't know, be able to use it to our own advantage. Now, this is fascinating to me. I want you to hear Eric Burleson. He is the representative from Missouri, who is not a believer of any of this. He's like, no, I'm not a believer. However, I've seen stuff in these skiffs, in these private meetings, that you need to know about. And he said, with a direct message to President Trump, please, Mr. President, protect the people who have so much to say about UFOs and aliens, but because they are afraid to speak about it, they're not stepping forward. Please change that, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I'm asking you directly, waive the non-disclosure agreements that still bind these patriots. Grant immunity to anyone and everyone who has already come forward and everyone who will come forward. Open the door and let them speak. Because unless people know they will be protected, why would they come forward and step forward otherwise? It is time that we flip the script entirely as well. It has been said by people in positions that know that even presidents have been kept on a need-to-know basis, that Navy pilots, admirals, and generals describe programs to senior officials that commander-in-chiefs were never briefed on, career bureaucrats who view presidents as temporary help, here today, gone tomorrow. That is not classification. That's a constitutional crisis. Transparency must be the default in the United States of America, and it should be required for those with knowledge to come forward, not wait for us to ask.
Interesting that ex-Navy members also spoke yesterday. Two former members of the Navy both agreed that pressure seems to be building for more government transparency about UFOs, with the lawmakers' latest pleas saying former Navy fighter pilot, I should say, Ryan Graves, told Elizabeth Vargas over on News Nation last night that the servants in the executive branch who signed non-disclosure agreements are being lawful and they're doing the right thing to protect vital information. But he said the real battle lies between Congress and its ability to lift those non-disclosures. President Trump is the bull in the china shop, the guy with the magic pen who can make it happen. I mean, the reason $11 billion that they want to resist Trump, a reason $11 billion and one that a wacko like Graham Plattner is acceptable to the Democrat Party because they are desperate for anybody who can neutralize President Trump and his agenda, which is all about fulfilling his promise of revealing secrets to you and to me so that we know what's going on. Here's Tim Burchett, Tennessee congressman, who has been so outspoken on this. And he has two quick bites. He says, look, we've been paying billions and billions of dollars every single year to programs the deep state tells us don't exist. Oh, those are conspiracy theories. But when we go into top secret SCIF settings, they tell us actually, yeah, those problems or those programs do exist. He says it's an outrage and that the American people deserve more.
We're up against corruption. We're up against a cover-up. This thing's been covered up at least since 1947. Dadgummit, the public deserves the right to know. It's your dadgum tax dollars. It's not about little green men or flying saucers. It's about what are we spending all these millions and possibly billions of dollars on that these idiots tell us don't exist. And then yet we turn right around in the skip and then they tell us they do exist. This is a cover-up. You all know it. We know it. We demand the answers, and dadgummit, we're going to get them.
But where's the evidence? Those are baseless claims. Where's the mainstream media, the legacy media that nobody's paying attention to anymore? Because they weren't there covering this. And Congressman Burchett continues. He's like, look, if this president does wave that wand of transparency and does grant immunity or what have you, an escape from these non-disclosures signed by these whistleblowers, these people in the know, be aware because there will be a barrage of fake news propaganda meant to take you off course. Trust your instincts, he says.
We got one or two bites at this apple. Please be careful about the false information that's coming out of Washington on all this stuff. Trust your gut. You know what's right. You know they exist. You know this has been a cover-up since before most of y'all been born.
Isn't that remarkable? Trust your gut. See, the left wants you to deny that because there's no evidence, right? When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, deep fake quotes knocks it out of the park, going up to 30,000 feet, shining a light on what this whole election mess in California is really all about. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Let's see. 7, Gold. Simkovich Concussion Institute. I saw my friend Diane yesterday, who was helped by the Simkovich Concussion Institute. And I love her honesty because she tells me that when she is agitated or she's worked too hard or, things are in her world and all the planets are colliding, that she notices her essential tremor comes back to a degree in her hands. And she was trying to hold her hands in front of me so as to not let me see it. And I'm like, look, it's not a magic bullet. It's a process. And for her essential tremor, which was nearly debilitating, she's made such remarkable progress, whether it's migraines or otherwise. I did talk about the Simkovich Concussion Institute. Go to the SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com, 412-366-3700. See if they can help you. Somebody, I think it was it Mark? Mark, was it you who emailed me this morning and said, does Dr. Simkovich, can he do anything with people who've suffered strokes? I'm like, I have no idea. I wouldn't be surprised, but I have no idea. But I'm delighted to see my friend feel more in charge. And she admits some days it's better than others, but it's way better than it was. And I'll tell you what, that pain in my foot is so much better than it was after I went to see a friend of ours. So I understand. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com, 412-366-3700. I'm going to tell you, watermelon lemonade, healthy fat is delicious. Super crisp.
You might like the Chuck juice.
Is that right? Well,
Yeah.
I think I'm almost out
I'll
of this.
just let you know about it. You can't have it.
No. Look at me. I'm hiding my tulip blooms. I don't want somebody to walk in and be like, and I'll take that. I'd be like, no. God, nobody will find it underneath my desk. I'll just lock it in an election ballot.
I don't know where it's at.
An election cabinet. Right.
I love when you find anonymous. Sometimes I don't even listen to them. I just send them to you.
What is it that Stephen A. Smith was all surprised about? What? How easy it was to register to vote in California? Is that he was like, what? And then Trump went after him. Sometimes I wish he didn't do that.
Well, Trump, he also said that the Knicks lost because Donald Trump was there.
Well, then you deserve it.
And that's, yeah.
Knock it off, you twit.
Well, to Stephen A's credit, he gets a response.
It's going to take a while. What was that for?
None of your business.
Wow. Okay. Some of the videos, man. Gosh. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. I think a lot of us were very suspicious on the heels of COVID and all of the mail-in balloting. Just because something is done in a moment doesn't mean that's the way it should always be done. Unless, of course, and I don't have evidence of fraud, widespread fraud scale. But I'm just going to say there ain't no way in hell that Joe Biden got 81 million votes, right? It needed the whole mail-in ballot thing. They needed a virus to scare you. They needed the news to beat that drum every single night. It was never like things are doing well. Things are going well. It's like 17 more deaths in Allegheny County. And you're like, yeah, but who were they? People who were extraordinarily weak with 6 different comorbidities, including heart disease, diabetes, and morbid obesity. I don't know, maybe, but they selectively didn't give us the full story, and it all makes sense. So why don't we just stop the whole mail-in balloting thing? Because it's just so fraudulent, right? Because if a ballot is mailed through the United States Postal Service and somebody steals it, they change it, and they lie on it, and they submit it, who's right? Who investigates that? Is it the state or someone else? Here's Deepfake Quotes Anonymous. I love it.
If a ballot is mailed through the United States Postal Service and someone were to steal it, alter it, destroy it, intercept it, or use it as part of a fraud scheme, who would investigate? The U.S. mail is a federal system. Crimes involving the U.S. mail can fall under federal jurisdiction. Federal agencies investigate federal crimes. One of the primary agencies responsible for investigating postal crimes is the United States Postal Inspection Service. In fact, it is one of the oldest federal law enforcement agencies in America. Postal inspectors investigate crimes involving the mail, including theft, fraud, identity theft, mail tampering, and criminal schemes that use the postal system. Depending on the circumstances, investigations may also involve the FBI, the Department of Justice, and other federal authorities. Examples of postal crimes include stealing mail from a mailbox, tampering with mail in transit, destroying or delaying the delivery of mail, identity theft involving mail documents, using the mail to commit fraud, conspiracy involving the use of the U.S. mail to facilitate a crime.
But there is a break the glass scenario, and there's many people that have a deep understanding of what it would look like if Democrats were locked out, and we're going to do everything to make sure that doesn't happen.
So it's interesting to hear that the U.S. postal inspectors are the ones who would investigate crimes involving ballots. Whatever happened to the case of Jesse, the USPS truck driver, who was asked to drive a full load from Long Island to, I think, Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And he opened up the back of his truck and saw that they were those gaylords. These are the things that you see at the post office when you drop off your mail. Those are the big wheel bins with canvas, right, where you could put a lot of stuff in it. He said there were like 24 different gaylords in the back of his truck. And each gaylord was packed to the brim with cartons of completed ballots, mail-in ballots, signed and everything before the 2020 election. From New York to Pennsylvania. What happened with that? Why was it that Joe Biden's postal inspectors were the ones who worked in concert with his FBI, Chris Wray's dirty FBI, in intercepting what a lot of people tried to get during COVID, mailed to them? Ivermectin tablets. Why would you want to take horse paste? You're not a horse. Remember? Look, the same way California could alleviate so much of the suspicion around their shady election practices merely by not counting for thousands of days, it's exaggeration, but letting ballots arrive up to 7 days after Election Day. We could knock off this whole mail-in ballot crap entirely. And can you imagine? And I do believe the president has already made moves to do that. I wonder if this president and his team have already established the trap, which would be the specific markings on the ballots that would need to be on the paper to be read by the machines. I think Donald Trump has been and will always be about 9 steps ahead of us. It's almost like he knows what's going to happen next. Thanks for being with us on the program today. I love being with you. 3 hours goes by so quickly. Let's do it again tomorrow. I love you guys. Have a great day. Peace.